Okay. Get that logged on. Give me a quick second, guys. I'm gonna do an audio check real quick on my phone. Give me a minute. Okay, cool. Sounds good. And let me check if I have desktop audio as well, because that's been an issue. Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Then I'll just give a quick introduction here, and then we'll jump into the actual stream itself, because I can edit all this stuff out, as I always do. But this is not perfectly centered. I want to have it in the center. Okay, that's good. All right. What's up, everybody? Ben Jaye here. Chilling here on this Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Yeah, time is weird. It literally had a well, there's a lot of stuff like I can just talk about, and you know, people may or may not see this, but there is some updates I want to give. First things first, I'm leaving Korea. Yeah, I made the decision to leave Korea, and so just kind of wrapping up lots of stuff here in Korea. I will be leaving though on sometime like in early October. So it's my last couple of months here, and yeah, so lots of stuff to get packed up and get moved out. It's quite anxiety inducing to actually be leaving, because I have zero plans for the future. All I know is that I'm going to be going to live with my family for a while there in the States, but really beyond that, like no plans at all. Yeah, I need some time to take a break and to think about it and make some choices, like what I want to do and everything. But oh shit, Habiba's here. This is also weird, like you never know who's watching. Yo, Habiba, I'm gonna send you a Zoom link and then jump on and chat with me as well, please. I want to go to Egypt. Let me check, literally let me check prices, dude, because like I might actually be able to find tickets to go to Egypt. That would be amazing. I don't have that much money, but it would be really cool to do some traveling before I go back to the States, because yeah, once you go back to the States, it's kind of hard to get around, and I'll be jobless. So but yo, I sent you a link just now, Habibs, so like grab that link and then jump on and join this for a bit. I miss you, dude. I miss Habiba. I think that's, and also like one of the, I should probably do a whole video about like why I'm leaving, but one of the big reasons is because if you're moving to a foreign country, you have to find a community of people. You've got to find a community of people, and that was something I've never been able to do here in Seoul. Like I've had like 3 super close friends while I've been here, and Habiba is one of them, but unfortunately, people come and go, and it's not even their fault. It's just because like life takes you in different places, and so when Habiba was here, like, yeah, it was amazing. We had so much fun together hanging out the few times we did. But then, you know, she has to go back to Egypt. And so, yeah, you know, you lose real life friends. And that's not easy. But Seoul is like that. Like, Seoul has so many people just coming and going all the time. So it's not fun. Habiba said, Egypt currently is so cheap that we would have a great opportunity. Dude, I'm literally going to check, like, well, Egypt is so welcoming, so you will definitely find a place here. Dude, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Let's go to Skyscanner and see what tickets we can find for Egypt. Ah! I'm leaking my email address regretfully. Okay, from Seoul to, I'm gonna choose a random city here. Let's go to a city called Alexandria. It's a good place. And when do I want to go to Alexandria? It would be later. It would be around this time, like in October. Let's say I go there October 1st. There's literally, what the fuck? There's no, usually they have like a pricing on the dates, but they don't have any pricing here for some reason. That's strange. What does that mean? I'm curious to find out. It doesn't even say cheap or expensive. It's like, is it free? That'd be nice. The dream would be to do like maybe like a week or no, like a month-long vacation around the world. Would be so cool to go to Singapore for a week, Japan for a week. Where else do I want to go? I want to go to Australia. I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Indonesia, but I don't think I have enough money for it. And it would just be Let me do a one-way ticket. Let's do a one-way ticket and see what that looks like. Here we go. Economy. Okay, sure. Okay, search. There we go. You're gonna kidnap me though, she said. Dude, this is a live stream. Shh, be quiet. Habiba has literally asked me to kidnap her, so I don't even think it's like, it's not even a crime at that point. It's literally like consensual kidnapping. That's like, those are probably words I never should have said, but I just said them. So the clip is out there now. Rest in peace. For real though, like Habiba needs saving though. She actually needs saving, so I need to plan like a whole escape mission to get her out. Best first. What the hell? Bruh. What the fuck? This is... What? 3 stops? 31 hours? It's not a crime, I'm asking. Dude, you know you always have a place with me, dude. Always have a place with me. And I'm sure you have other friends here in Seoul as well, so if you get the money, contact your uncle and aunt, help them to help, like, they can get you to the airport. We'll get you out. We'll get you safely to another place. This is awful, dude. I mean, the price isn't that bad. 600's not that bad, but, like, look at that. 31 hours. Gotta go to Malaysia, gotta go to the Maldives, and gotta go to Abu Dhabi. So, that is not pretty. Is that literally like what you did whenever you flew back? Took me 28 hours to get to Egypt. Fucking hell, dude. That is awful. So if we look at these like one-stop flights, they're 1,200. 20 hours, 20 and a half hours. One stop in Abu Dhabi, one stop in Istanbul for 2 million. These prices are fucking insane, dude. Can we let's reverse these to see what happens if we reverse. You know what? Hang on. Let me check one more thing. Let me put it like later. Let me put it like down here and like the. Okay, let me put it on the 15th, and then let me put this to Tokyo. And let me see what happens. We took a flight from Incheon to Qatar to Cairo to Alexandria. Fucking hell, dude. That is a trek. That does not sound fun at all. 28 hours, 4 airports. Ugh. I love traveling, but like that's too much traveling. Oh man, dude, I am sorry for you. Okay, so to go from Tokyo to Egypt would be about 26 hours. And looking at about $900. It was fun though. How does that qualify as fun? How does that qualify as fun, dude? Also, please jump on, dude. Jump on Zoom. I sent you a link on DMs. Go get it. I don't know. See, so actually, like, what I was thinking about doing was, like, maybe doing a route like this. Like, let me pull up a random thing here. Do I have... Where's my blank slate? Let's go with brainstorm. Yeah. I am thinking about doing, like, some kind of trip if I can, but it's not confirmed because I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. But thinking of doing something like Seoul to... Singapore to Tokyo to LA. I was thinking about doing this kind of route. Or Seoul to Tokyo to Indonesia. Tokyo, LA. Can't join now because I'm with my family. Because it's Eid. Oh, is it really? Oh. Happy Eid. Amazing. Jump on. We'll have like the whole fam. We'll meet the whole fam. That'd be fun. I was thinking about doing like a route like this, but it might be too expensive. I'm not sure. I definitely want to try to hit up Singapore or Tokyo one more time before I go back because I'm going to miss these places so much. Really going to miss these two places. It would genuinely be cool to like to get a job in Singapore or Tokyo. But I don't know. I'm not really sure what jobs are available there. It would be cool though. Add Egypt to the list, or I'm gonna kidnap you. Oh, then I'm not adding Egypt to the list then, because I want you to kidnap me. I'm 100,000,000% okay with that. Are you kidding, dude? Like the adventures that we would get into, like Seoul was just the beginning. We could do some crazy shit, dude. Once we reunite, like holy fuck, sky's the limit. How funny would it to be? How funny would it be to like do a whole adventure series with you and me, like for 1 year? We just say, okay, fuck it. Like for 1 year, let's get into all the trouble we can get into. That would be like so fucking awesome. Just Benji and Habibs, and like we just go around. Venus and Habibs. That's her nickname for me, for anybody watching. So yeah, Venus and Habibs, like going around the world, like that would be insane. They could document the whole thing. We could do like a thing kind of like that one YouTube channel. I never watched this channel, but like I know about it from other people. I've heard about it from other people. It was called Unis Anus, I think it was called. Yeah. And it was a YouTube series. Yeah, right here. A series in which Ethan from Crank Gameplays and Multiplier embark on a year-long journey, only for it to be completely deleted in 1 year. So for like literally 1 year, they documented. I think it was every day. But I could be wrong. I think it was every day as far as I know. And they did it like for 1 straight year. And then at the end, they deleted their channel completely. It would be so much fun to do that same thing like with you. Like you and me. Take 1 year. Just document everything. Explore everything. And then like call it quits after 1 year. That would be amazing. How could... Oh, man. Dude. Oh, man. That is, I'm not even exaggerating. That's literally like, that would be like my dream to do that. I want to do that. Like that's like my biggest dream, is just to travel the world and make content, make music, to meet people, to share people's stories and stuff. How can we do that? Okay, hang on. Habibs, give me a bunch of locations. Like where would you want to go to, Habibs? Where would you want to go to? I'm literally I'm gonna start like planning it out like right this minute. Who, what, when, where? Okay. Who? Of course, it's gotta be Benji. Gotta be Habibs. We can add other people too. That'd be fun. Or meet other people in different places. Year-long adventure around the world. The win part would be hard. Oh my gosh, she's gonna make us go broke. She said Italy, Greece, France, Russia. Are we allowed to go there? We gotta throw Ukraine in there if you're gonna say Russia. Politically correct. Turkey. Okay. Turkey, I'm down for Turkey. Wanna go to Turkey. Italy definitely as well. Chile. Yeah, dude. Our adventures in South America, Latin America, be insane. Peru, 100,000,000%. Gotta go to Peru. Gotta go to Peru. Brazil, of course. I'm down with this. I gotta throw Mexico in here. I want to make sure we get to Mexico. Please, we gotta go to Australia. I know it's might be basic, but I want to go to Australia. My friend lives in New Zealand, so I gotta go to New Zealand as well. Portugal, yeah, I'm down with Portugal. I'm gonna put that up here when we're in Europe. Portugal. Yeah, Mexico and Australia, I got those already, of course. I want to go back to Indonesia. I miss Indonesia. I want to go there again. I don't know if you've been to Singapore, dude, but you've got to go to Singapore. Amazing place. Sweden would be, okay, yeah, I'm down with Sweden. Sweden sounds cool. I'm almost tempted to put like maybe like Finland or Iceland on here as well, just for the hell of it. Put Finland on here, just why not? Yeah, cool. Nice. This is a good list. Oh, also when we're in Asia, gotta take you to Japan. Back to my birth country. This is so many countries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, I think we should... I think we should limit it to 12. We could do like one country every month. What do you think about that? What if we did one country every month? I mean, I guess if we're in Europe, it would be possible to jump to more. Yeah, we could do like one country a month. But I mean, let me check the map real quick. Let's look at a map real quick. Let's look at a map of Europe. Europe map. There we go. Okay. We could work our way up. I wonder if we can get into Iran, because that would be cool to go there as well. I'm thinking about a route, because it'd be cool to like do it like in a very like maybe like follow a certain direction sort of thing, you know? Where we start over here, like we start. Well, I mean for you, you'd be starting from over here, and then I would be in the States at that point. But like we could go. Okay, let's say we start from Portugal. We just go with Portugal first, and we kind of walk our way this way. Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Ukraine, Russia. Man, I wonder if it's possible. We can start in Europe and take the train. It's going to be cheaper. We can cover more land. Yeah, I think that's the best idea. Is definitely to start from Europe, either. Probably Portugal. I think starting from Portugal would be best. We just start from Portugal and then kind of walk our way up, like Portugal, Spain, France. Maybe go to the UK, and then I'm not really sure like what direction we should walk our way in. It'd be nice from like Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, and kind of walk our way down around the edges. Hit up Turkey, and then after that it gets a little bit messy because we have to fly over, jump to go somewhere else. But let's go, like I said, so let's go ahead and do like Portugal. So it'd be Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, and then Greece. And then after Greece, we can move into like Turkey. There we go. Or I guess I should spell it the proper way, which would be this way. There we go. It's a really cool idea, dude. It's a really cool idea. The question would really just be like when. The big question is when. Big question is when. I have no idea what like the next 2 years are gonna like the next year is gonna hold for me. What about you, dude? Where are you gonna be at? Like, you're not in college yet, so I guess like once you get into, maybe you should take a gap year from college, dude. December or January of what year? 2024 or when? Could I do it immediately afterwards? That's insane, but like, so I'm free from like October 2023 is like when I'm free. This year? But dude, like I need to start from October because like I'm gonna run out of, I'll have like a final payout from my academy. And then I'll need to live off of that until I get a new job. So we'd have to start from like October. November at the latest. Why did you say December or January? What's up with those dates? Do you have like exams or something? Someone else is here as well. Who else is here? I finished my exams in November. November, I think I could do because I could probably. Let me check something. I could either kick it here in Seoul until November, or I could go back and live with my family until November. Let me check prices from OKC over to. I'm lurking because I can't join yet. Ah, good to see you here, Val. Me and Habib are like, we're making a idea plan because I want to travel. I want to do like a world adventure, and so me and Habiba were talking about like maybe just joining together and like touring the entire world. Habib said I'll also be working to get money, so I'll have some time to save up. Dude, that sounds good. I can't lie. Like, there's a lot of times, even though I've made the decision to leave Korea, there are a lot of times where I still kind of think like, how much longer could I actually live here? Like, how much longer could I actually stick it out here? And I don't think it's very long. I think it's already been so hard to survive just this year alone, the last few months. But I know that like, it's like it's the sensible versus nonsensical. Sensible side is like, no, you have a good thing here. You need to stay here and save up money before before you leave and everything. And then the nonsensical side is like, well, I don't know if it's nonsensical because it's like looking out for my health. The nonsensical side is like, no, dude, like you're burned out. Your, mental health is in bad condition. You need to leave as soon as you can, even though you don't know what's happening next. It's a weird place to be between those two. I know I have to make the choice for my mental health to leave because it's not safe for me to live here anymore. But like, other part of me is like, oh, I wish I could stick it out and do another year and save up money. But it is what it is. It's a canon event, as they say. Let's check from OKC over to Portugal. Here we go. And let's do it from, Habiba said December. World Domination Tour. Hell yeah. Yo, Val, if you can, where's your dream locations, Val? What places do you want to go to? Let me check, like, December 1st. Why not? The first day. One way flight to Portugal. Yeah, Val, if you could go anywhere in the world on a random trip, where would you go to? Val said, maybe the new opportunities that await are better for you in the long run. Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, right, Val? I mean, and that's what I've been telling myself is that even though I don't know what's coming, sometimes that's just the way it is. Because sometimes you can't see what's better for you, right? You can't plan it out. The way that makes sense is not the reality. I had a quote on my board today. It said redefine reality was the phrase I put. Redefine reality. Because I think sometimes we have to kind of give ourselves a new definition of who we are and what we want. Yeah, I'm working on a new song, and I've been trying to figure out how to record vocals. So I did a nice 2-hour long video chat with one of my music friends last night, and yeah, we got to talking about music, mental health, and identity and stuff like that, and had some really cool thoughts about identity. We just talked about identity and how you have to kind of evolve your identity, and your identity changes over time. And it's easy. I've talked about this on Twitter, so you might have seen it. I told them about how it's easy for us to look back at our old identities and be like, I wish I was that person, or I missed that person, when in reality, life is always forward motion. We're always evolving. And so you have to kind of reshape your identity to who you are right here, right now, and like where you're going to go to. And when you're reshaping your identity, it can be really hard to have a clear vision on who your new identity is, because it's a new identity. So you don't know like who you are. You don't know who you're becoming. You're just becoming it. So yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's for the best, fingers crossed, knock on wood. Habib said, I'm going to head off now, fasting, so we go eat. Yo, Habib, thanks for jumping on, and talk to you soon. Love you. Miss you. Happy Eid. Yep. We'll try to. Love you. Stay safe. Keep me updated. Miss you lots, Habibs. Hope we can catch up soon. FaceTime me. FaceTime me as soon as you can. When you have free time, FaceTime me. And then Val said, I want to go to Norway and Finland for the Northern Lights, Australia and New Zealand, but that flight sounds exhausting. Yeah, my good friend Faye is in New Zealand. So I want to go see New Zealand for her. Also, my sister lived there for like 6 months, I think. Yeah, she did a tourist, what is that called? Tourist, not tourist, excuse me, walking holiday. My sister did a walking holiday stay over in New Zealand and had an interesting experience there. So it'd be cool to go. Australia is just like amazing so many friends of mine that are based in the, I can't say the city name properly, but Melbourne, Melbourne, Melbourne. Like so many friends live here. Would love to check out Melbourne. Didn't say you say it. And then the Northern Lights would be amazing. 100% of what you're saying. Habib said, Ben, actually $1,000 you can live in Egypt for over a month, and it's really easy to get a job here. So if you moved here, it's gonna be cool. Because I literally have no other like ideas in my mind, I am so tempted to say fuck it, yes, actually to that. I'm not even lying. What jobs can you get in Egypt? I see 3 people here. So Val's here. I think Habiba. Who else is here? If anybody else is here, I can't see who's watching. So drop a comment, guys, real quick. What are popular jobs in Egypt as an American citizen? Egypt, Glassdoor jobs. And now the live stream has become a job search. Look at the Northern Lights as well. That's something that, man, would be amazing. Do you have to like to see the Northern Lights? Do you have to like camp outside, or is it possible? Is there like some kind of like fancy hotel? Is this like some kind of inn you can rent? It's got to be hella expensive though, if you're staying there. I wonder. Now I see a bunch of like city like houses and shit, so you can probably get a hotel nearby, right? 7 best places to see the Aurora Borealis. Okay, let's find out. Okay, Norway is number 1. Stay here. It's not opening until 2024, but Svart, the world's first energy-positive hotel, would make a dreamy base. The circular hotel, which stands in the shallows of a fjord, will be off-grid and zero waste, and its Arctic Circle location makes it a good bet for seeing the Northern Lights during your stay. That's really interesting. Let's find out more about that article. You've heard about carbon neutral, but how about energy positive? That's exactly what this brand new hotel in the Arctic Circle promises to be. Okay, cool. Does it have a name? I want to see, find out more here. Here we go, Savart Hotel. And I want to see if they have pictures or something. That's pretty. Super interesting. I want to see the building itself, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick Google search. Yes, Art Hotel. Here we go. Images and see what we got here. Yo, that's pretty. That is pretty. Yo. Val, what do you think of this hotel here? Look at that. That's nice. So it looks like this double room. So rooms on top and rooms on the bottom part. Circular shape. Some kind of open space area over here. That's so cool. I actually love that design. I don't know much about architecture, but I do appreciate some beautiful buildings. Random fun fact. My dad was like, well, my whole family were like built houses, myself included. Growing up, and so my dad was like low-key an architect. He would make the designs for the houses. What was the program he used? Microsoft Architect, I think. Yeah, Microsoft Architecture. I don't even know. It must have been from the 90s. Software. I'm gonna see if I can find the program. I thought it was called Microsoft Architect, but maybe not. Let me see if I can find it. What is Microsoft Architect program? No. What was that called? Old 90s architecture program. Here we go. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I do not know the name of that program. I'd have to ask my brother or my dad, because like I did, like, growing up as a kid, like the game I played was like this. Like I would use this program and make house designs just for fun. Yeah, this is basically it right here. This is basically what it looked like. I'll try to show a better picture of it because it's too small. but you could like make house designs like kind of like this, and you could like choose where everything was located at. Yeah, here we go. Mostly like this part right up here in the upper left hand corner, and like yeah, for fun, like me and my brothers and probably my sisters as well, like we would sometimes just do this for fun, design, make different house designs and shit like that. Yep, very much like this program right here, and we just have fun like designing houses, making different designs. We got, yep, Val jump on, accepted that one. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I haven't talked to Val in forever. Val, are you there?
Yes.
Hey. Oh my gosh, Val, how are you?
Hey,
Oh, nice
good and
mask.
you?
I love it. You always get like
It's
the
my,
special designs.
yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna wear a mask, I might as well look cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My gosh, Val, it's been probably like close to a month, I think, since I last talked to you. How have you been?
Good, and you?
Um, Not good, not bad. I think like for me, it's kind of like the days kind of bleed into each other. It's just kind of time is passing by,
Mm.
which is it's not a bad thing. It's just like I'm leaving, so it's kind of the ending stages. So it's whatever. Yeah. Anything new happening in your
It's
world though?
whatever.
It's whatever.
No, nothing new. I mean, I think I'm not leaving anywhere, but I'm more or less in the same boat of just like, I'm plodding through the days of like waking up and eating and going to work and going to sleep.
Set us free. Let us go. It's weird. It's kind of weird, Val, because like it does kind of make me question, right? Like, I don't know. Obviously, it's for me anyway. Tell me if you're the same. Like, I do have that thoughts kind of slip in of like, I know I don't want to be this way, right? But I also know it's not going to be
Hmm.
forever. Like, I know that change is going to be
Hmm.
coming, right? And so it's kind of like, I think for me, the one thing I kind of contemplate is it okay to just wait until stuff changes, or should I be more active about trying to make stuff change right now? I don't know. Has that crossed your mind? Like, what do you think about it all?
I'm just I'm just so terrible at action. So I'm very much a go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get it.
You know, I have a lot of friends who are like, seize the day. And I'm like, nah.
Maybe I just want to enjoy the day.
I'm like, maybe I just want to sit back and listen to music and figure out tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I feel like
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
You go first, Al.
no,
Go ahead.
no. I was gonna say like, and I think I'm just in that sense. I'm even more of a rebel now
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I feel like everybody in the world tells you to, go for it and like
Mm-hmm.
hustle culture and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, no.
No, exactly. Oh, exactly, Val. I mean, I definitely have stepped away from that whole kind of scene for a long time now, and it's interesting to kind of look at it from the outside, because I think the place I'm at with it now is that here's my timeline. First of all, I was very deep in that kind of proactive mindset, go get it, hustle and grind, grow and build. And then I
Hmm.
was totally detached from it. It was like that's just fucking insane. Those people are just trying to, make money off of these people. You're definitely lying to yourself. There's a lot of disillusionment that happens. And now I think I'm kind of at the well-rounded stage where it's like you can look at it and be like, okay, so like that's true, but in this context. That's true, but in this other context. And
Hmm.
it's the hard part now, I guess, is like deciding, because after you can see that like, there's a little bit of truth to everything, but everything is
Yeah.
very, very contextual. So it really depends on who
Yeah.
you are, what you actually want, and like how you activate it in your life. And then
And your
your
situation.
situation, exactly. Even like I mentioned that I was having that conversation last night. Yeah, I started thinking about this concept a few months ago, how there's certain stuff in like the self-development community that I learned that was misapplied because it was I think it was being delivered in like a business sense, and then I applied it like in a personal sense, and then that kind of affects. And
Hmm.
of course, it was also worse for me because of my own sorts of childhood trauma or my own internal issues, and so it kind of preyed on that kind of stuff, or even like autism or ADHD, and not really understanding like how it was negatively influencing those in a bad way. Um, does that make sense? or do I need?
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. Because
It
if
makes
you,
sense.
because in like in a business context, it's fine, but in a personal context, it's like, oh, that's unhealthy, and that's being maximized by the other stuff you already deal with, or the other stuff that you need to work through. But then last night I was talking with my friend Vig. He's over in India, known him for a long time, musician, great guy, and we were talking about one thing people tell you is to not compare yourself to others, compare yourself to
Hmm.
yourself, which is like that's great, that's
Hmm.
good, that's fine. But then of course there's also the dark side of that. Whenever you start comparing yourself to your old self and feel like you're not good enough because like the old you was better, stronger, more productive, or whatever. And then in that case it's like, oh, okay, don't compare yourself to yourself either. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's true. But then, like, what comes to mind for me is like, again, I think I'm at a place where I'm just trying to challenge everything.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
this whole concept of like a better you, but
Mm,
according to who and according to what,
mm.
you know,
What is better?
like, yeah, what is better? Like, and I come back to like, I come back to sort of like the sense of like, what would our root existence be if we didn't live in the societies that we lived in? Like, we
Ooh,
would just be.
man. Yeah. The deep thoughts.
Like, I
Like
just
it's so hard to fathom that, isn't it? It's a
like
great question.
I think of like tribal people. Like, I
Yep.
think they're most basic human
Existence.
living.
Sure.
Yeah, the most original.
Mm-mm-mm.
And basically they eat, sleep, drink, do whatever, and they just go about their day to exist.
Mm. There's an interview about that, Val. I mean, obviously, both these people kind of controversial, but it was David Cho on the Joe Rogan show, and I guess he spent some time in some African villages, and he loved his time there. In the clip I'm thinking of, he was talking about, man, he's like, Joe, they're so happy out there. He's like, you wake up, you do your walk, you come back home, you dance, you hang out with the community, and you go to bed. And it was beautiful, man. Like there was no stress, no anxiety. Like you dance at night, every night you dance and play music. And I was like, that sounds really nice, actually.
Like, it's not a competition. I mean, unless you're maybe vying for medicine woman, medicine man, or chief.
Or trying to find a partner or something like that, and you gotta have better moves, and so that you're confident. I don't know. I have no idea. I've watched too many
Yeah,
like
your
yeah.
dance needs to just, you
It
know.
needs to be a little bit better than the guy next door. So I don't even know if any of that's accurate. I've watched like the bastardized versions of that kind of stuff like on American television, so I could be sounding so ignorant right now. Like no, we don't do that here.
Exactly. We have no
We have
clue.
no idea what you're even talking about. It's actually cool. There's actually I saw this one creator on YouTube Shorts, and I love her vibe. I love it so much. I don't even know what her name is, but it popped up on my Shorts feed one time. So I don't know her full story as well, but from what I gleaned from the comments was that she is based in Ethiopia. I'm not sure where she's from
Okay.
originally, but I think she's like out there like on some kind of mission or something. But yeah, black woman, and she does like some work there in Ethiopia, and man, she's just her aura, like she's just glowing in every video. Val, she has like this beautiful hair, and she's always like she looks so peaceful, like her aura like comes to the screen. She's always just like smiling and like saying these random things that make you feel good, or like sharing this funny little story. And it's like I was like watching, I was like, wow, I've never seen this much peace on a screen before. I wonder if I could find her
Aw.
again. There was something special about like the way she did her videos and the way that she showed up on camera. It was just amazing. I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it online. Ethiopian
Sounds good.
content creator. But it is interesting for sure to see the way that I think society is kind of shifting right now. Even like when I did the stream last week, I was talking with my cousin Scylla, and she kind of had been on the same kind of vibe I'd been for the past year, where a lot less social media. Phone is always on silent. She likes to hang out with people in real life rather than texting. She rarely answers messages anymore, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. I was like, it's so overwhelming to be like online all the time and to have people watching and judging and everything. And it's kind of like you don't have time for everything and you get overwhelmed by it all.
Hmm.
And I think
Mm.
that's kind of I don't know. I guess obviously I'm just like my own biased point of view, but I do feel like we're kind of seeing some people moving in that direction where they're kind of looking to detox and detach because for the past 10 years, like we've been chronically online.
Well, I think everything we're seeing is a consequence of online,
Mm-hmm.
um, and good and bad, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
I think it's funny how do I put it? I just think we have to foster better human connection in real life
Mm-hmm.
and be present with one another when we're in real life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I feel like because of technology, we only know how to do sound bites of each other.
Hmm. That's interesting, Val. That's interesting. Um, yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess
and
it's yeah.
no, I was just gonna say, and I guess it also depends on the people. So that's just a general statement.
Sure. It's definitely, I think it definitely takes a conscious effort, right? Because here's one thing I've noticed from like doing content and then also trying to figure out the whole social thing is social and like friendship and stuff like that. I really love it whenever like we'll have our little private Zoom chats or we used to do like private clubhouse rooms and things like that because those are situations where we can just show up and be authentic and have our own personalized group of people that we trust and people we care about, and it's all mutual. And
Hmm.
I think because it's structured that way and it's scheduled, it's easy for us to show up and be present in those kind of situations compared to DMs or texting people where you have a million threads, million different people, and it's responding at different points in time. You're not present, and you're also like your energy, your focus is very divided. So I know it's like it's right there. I feel like the stuff that we do, all private Zoom chats or whatever, or the middle ground between online communication and then real life communication. It's somewhere right there in the middle. I feel like we've
Yeah,
achieved with
yeah.
those.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I really value like our little everything, from Clubhouse to,
Mm-hmm.
Zoom to
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because even in real life, I was never able to really have that with friends. Because
What?
with friends, it's always been about like socializing and let's,
Mm.
like and socializing and like being seen
Mm.
by others.
Okay, I see.
I mean, and in fairness, it could have just been where I was in my life
Mm-hmm.
and my friends who they are were.
Sure.
Um, like now I would much rather like sit in a nice cozy coffee shop and chat for,
A few minutes or
or
however.
even in somebody's like house, like
Mm-hmm.
in the backyard and barbecue or whatever.
Okay, I see. So I guess it sounded like there was like a more performative aspect to it before. Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Like if I'm honest, I can't say I really knew who my or know who my friends are. Like I don't really know
Oh
their,
man, right? Ethan's here. I think
you
Ethan is
know.
the perfect person to talk to about this. I think it's weird though, because I always thought it was kind of like just must have been just been me and EJ, but it sounds like other people have the same issue where like what is friendship? Like, can someone define that? Because like I'm confused. EJ, how you doing, man? EJ, you there? Can you hear us? Let me send him a message.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay,
There's a lot of
nice.
background
Yeah.
noise, but like you're good. How you doing?
There's a lot of background noise.
There's just like this, like almost like this, like a breathing kind of. Like, oh, it's a fan. Is it the fan?
It might be the fan.
Okay, all right.
Probably the fan.
There you go. Boom, it's gone. Did you turn on like noise cancellation or something?
No, I turned off the fan.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna make you suffer. Sweat. Turn off the fan. I can't stand it.
Turn off the fan.
Yo, congratulations to EJ, by the way. He started a brand new job yesterday. Man's making buku bucks, and he's fucking back, boys. How you doing, EJ?
Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm actually signing like my code of conduct right now. So
Live, live
I
stream.
will definitely abide by these.
What are you gonna do? Fire me? Bum, bum, ba, da, ba, da, bum, bum, bum.
So actually, no, it's actually really interesting because it's government. So let's see, what does it say? Hang on, I'll read you this section because I don't think this is confidential. Not this. Can't read you the whole thing, obviously. Yeah, it just says that they will require implementation of remedial action
Okay.
or suspend the program on a temporary or permanent basis, like for the person receiving it. So for an employee, that's just implement remedial action. So I don't know, because I know that at the job that I just left, they couldn't technically fire people. They had to just performance manage them out of existence, basically. Just
Gosh.
Continuously just write up NRIs and just give them really awkward coaching conversations until basically they just muscled that talent out of business, just because that was
inspire
just
them to quit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All sorts of legal loopholes and things like that. But yeah.
Is that
No,
is that a net positive or a bad thing to have rules like that?
I don't know. I mean,
Depends who you're asking.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw
Depends who you're asking.
So I saw this article on Reddit yesterday. I'll pull up the story real quick and hear you guys' thoughts. It's from the Korea Reddit. Let me find it real quick. About a girl who got a job at a pizza shop, and she was asking if it was worth it to stay or not stay because of the manager. And so I think it's something all of us have probably experienced at some point.
It's one of those things where it's it just in low level management, it just encourages toxicity, of toxic behavior of managers having to be really catty or really
I see. It enables
ineffective. Yeah, because they can't do anything else, and so they still have those same negative emotions towards towards the employees that they're managing.
Korea, is staying at a good job with a toxic boss worth it? I currently have a job at a pizza place and had my first yesterday. I get paid 11,000 won for the first month and then 12,000 won after. I like the job and the environment, but the boss's wife's attitude is just so terrible that I don't think I'll be able to last even a month. During the interview, she warned that people quit a lot after a week or two because the work is hard. The work isn't too difficult, so I expect people quitting so quickly because of her. The boss himself is very nice and soft-spoken, and 3 coworkers I've met have been very nice and helpful. Anyways, an example of a few things she did on the first day that has already made me contemplating quitting. It was maybe 10 minutes before my shift started, so I was in the kitchen, visible from the dining room, and was fanning my face because it was a bit warm. She then yells at me to stop fanning my face because it's unprofessional, or something like that. The list that she gave me to memorize the beers were in a completely different order than they are in the store. She got very angry I didn't come with the order memorized, even though she only told me the names. At this point, her husband, the boss, had left the restaurant. She told my coworker to clean off a table, and since I was shadowing her while I was following her, and shadowing her, as we were walking to the table, a customer stopped my coworker, and we stopped walking. Literally, not even 2 seconds later, the wife screams across the restaurant, "I told you to clean the table. If I say to clean it, then just clean it. Seriously, what are you doing?" Honestly, other than the boss's wife, I do like the job. My coworker's boss. I do like the job and my coworkers and my boss. The hours are good, and it's walking distance from my house. The work is also not too difficult. On the other hand, I really don't like being yelled at for trivial things and get stressed whenever she's near me. So she was like, "What should I do?" But yeah, the top comment right here said, having worked with overbearing managers in restaurants for many years, I would recommend leaving. These people just drain you mentally and physically. Her behavior is way worse than anything I've personally experienced, but imagine the restaurant getting busy and you're not being able to handle the pressure. And just unless you're willing to confront her or talk to the boss about her, just leave with your dignity intact. And they're like, okay, that's what I was thinking about doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth it if it's right from the beginning.
Right? The first day, it's already this bad. It's like, why would you subject yourself to that?
I like that. If I told you to clean the table, just clean it.
Bruh. Yeah. Okay, I'll play devil's advocate real quick. I do remember my job there in the States when I worked at the Chinese restaurant. My boss had to deal with so many people leaving that I think it kind of frustrated her. So whenever she did get someone new, she was always like tough on them straight from the beginning because she's like, if I'm tough at first, they're either going to stay or go, and I can find out more quickly. She wasn't a toxic person. So in that situation, like things worked out. She was just like annoyed by people who would come and go or would come and like not show up to shift. And so it kind of made her be that way. But yeah, I don't think this woman's the same way. It sounds like this woman just has some
Well,
micromanagement.
and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's probably a cultural aspect too, right? Like, I feel like in the States, you may be able to have different conversations than you would, I'm guessing, you would be able to in Korea. I have no idea. Like,
About
if
like
you,
management, I guess you mean, Val?
yeah, like
Okay.
if you have a good report early on and
Mm-hmm.
you maybe are realizing that this person's perturbed by things, you can maybe have a conversation differently
Mm,
than
mm.
I mean, I don't know what the culture is like in Korea in regards to that. I feel like they'd just be like, get the fuck out. I
Mm.
don't know.
One or two. I think there's a lot of there's definitely a lot of like hierarchy here, so have a feeling it probably is not something you could do. But I mean, maybe it's worth a shot.
Hmm.
EJ.
I mean, well, that situation of like, mm, obviously, got to tread water carefully. That situation where like the husband or the male dominant figure in the relationship owns the business,
Uh
and
huh.
then the wife kind of acts as like the overbearing
Runs it.
like head manager is like extremely common in Korea in my experience.
Mm.
I know that a lot of the jobs that my wife worked at kind of had that same dynamic where like the guy's name would be on everything and he was like the owner, but the person who was actually running day-to-day business would be the wife or whatever, and they were often like really crabby, nasty people. And obviously like there's some generalization there, but I think part of the reason for that is obviously just the fact that like they probably don't get any of the financial benefits of the business. Right,
Mm.
like if the money's in his name, he controls everything, right? There's like that power dynamic there. And so whenever you don't have control over your own personal relationship, obviously you're going to act out towards the only people
That's
that you
true.
do have control over, which is your employees.
Wow.
There was one like this flower shop that thankfully she didn't go to work there because it was such a red flag, but it was a bad time of life for us. And we honestly needed the job. So she was like really considering it, but I was like, absolutely not. Like, we at least have our dignity because like it was just like in the interview, the lady just like straight up like the first question she was like, "Are you planning on quitting?" And then I was just like, "Sorry, what?" And she was just like, "Cause I'm just gonna be straight up. I can't keep good talent here. So like," and she's like, "And my other worker, I'm pretty sure she's having a baby, and that's just bad news." And so I was like, "Okay, not really sure where this is going." And she was like, "So you're probably planning on having a baby with your husband, right? Probably gonna knock you up or something like that." And then he was just like, "Okay, I'm,
What the fuck?
I'm."
What
She
the
was like, "Because that's
fuck?
not something that I'm gonna have going on in my shop. I'm not gonna have you pregnant in my shop. So blah 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 blah.
Oh
blah." Like,
wow.
all sorts of like just random stuff that's just like,
Wow.
okay,
Thank you for being
okay.
so honest and, and revealing your true personality.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's fine.
I don't want any part
Okay,
of that as well. So,
okay, that's fine.
Val, what's one of your most toxic work stories? Anything to share on that?
Um, I worked, I was working as an admin for a restaurant that hadn't even
Oh
opened
no,
yet.
Val was a toxic one.
And I
I
was like, no,
could
I had a
never
really hard
imagine that.
time. My workers would never show
Show
up. I
up. I don't
couldn't
know
keep anyone
why.
employed.
It's
They
fucking
were
kids. They're
always
so
like acting scared and
irresponsible.
dropping dishes. It was just
There was
like,
no staff yet. That's how not open it was.
oh
Wow.
my goodness.
They were still doing the construction and all that stuff. So the owners were the parents of the chef.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
Okay.
awesome. That's real
the
great.
dad was so, he didn't want to pay anybody, like especially like the construction workers and all that stuff. But I was the one who always had to field the phone calls of like, when are we getting paid? We've done the work, blah
What
blah blah.
the hell?
Love it. Love it.
So I constantly have to chase the boss. They're looking to get paid. He's like, but have you seen the work? I'm like, I'm not there to see the work because I'm working like an hour away from the location.
Oh my
That's
god,
hilarious.
dude.
Basically, it was just awful. I ended up with like a scalp dermatitis from the stress.
Oh man.
Um, like the guy wanted like spreadsheets from like QuickBooks, even though like you could do like full reports from QuickBooks. He wanted me to plug those numbers into a spreadsheet separately for I didn't understand the man. I'm like, I think you just want me to have like busy work for the hell of
Mm,
it.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
You know, I'm more about like, let's be efficient,
mm.
work
Yeah,
smarter, not harder.
100%,
And
100%.
I was like, no, no. I gave them like, I think I gave them 2 months notice.
Wow, two
I gave
months
them way
notice.
too
Yeah.
That's
much
awesome.
notice because a friend of a friend got the job. So I
Oh, I
was sort of
see.
like, obligations or whatever.
Yeah,
I should just quit. Because they didn't
That's
find a replacement.
yeah,
I was like, yeah, no.
that's another. I think the thing is like kind of changed in modern times as well. Like the old rule was like to always give a 2 weeks notice, but I feel like nowadays most people just say cold quitting is like the thing to do if companies don't care about you because it's just cold quit.
Well, I mean, a lot of companies. I've heard a lot of people who their company when they give them the 2 weeks, they're like, no, you can go now.
Mm.
So I mean, if they're gonna if they're gonna
In
do
my
that,
case, my contract says I need to tell my company like 3 months before I go, so it's like legally I'm supposed to. I haven't told them yet. It's also not the 3 month. Like it'll be July, so I need to tell them soon. But like, yeah, it's also gonna be a bit annoying because like I have no idea
are
like
they
what.
watching?
Well, like they're probably gonna give me a bunch of things like to not say or not do. Like whenever I do tell them, it's like don't tell the kids, don't do blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm gonna tell the kids. I'm not just gonna leave them. So, like, it's like it's insane, Val. Like, what's one of the things I hate is that I think every academy has that rule, like, don't tell the kids when you're leaving, and it's just horrible to like have someone that's with the kids teaching them for like a long period of time to just disappear one day. And like it's just like that's so
Yeah,
harsh on kids to do that to them, to have someone just disappear. I've seen it happen a few times already.
and
Because
people move.
yeah.
People like I mean, rather than thinking you died.
Oh, and that's the other thing. That was like sometimes they straight up lie to them. Like there was one teacher. She wasn't a full time. She was like the homeroom teacher, and like she quit. And like the story they told the kids was that she was super sick, and so she had to go. And I was like, no, I was like, she's fine, guys. She's fine. Like I have her on Instagram. She's totally fine. She is not sick. She's okay. I'm
that's
not lying to
actually
my
awesome
kids.
though.
I'm not lying to my kids about like that. That's stupid.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what though is what is it? It's like the kids. I feel like don't extend that same courtesy to us though, because I
Not
feel like
always.
there's been several times where the students just straight up disappear, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you talk to their friends and you're like, hey,
Hey, what
where's
happened to blah
Gio
blah blah?
today? Yeah, 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 and they're like, oh, they've been planning to move to Seoul for like 6 months or whatever, and it's just like, okay, you know what? Get out of town. Get out of town.
That one, I don't fault them completely on that because it's also so involved with the parents. If the parents like don't want to pay for the education or the parents want to go to somewhere else, so sometimes even the kids don't know or like the kids don't want to go. Even like just like last month, I had a student who was really close to me, and his mom just like pulled him out of the school like suddenly, and so he did make an effort though. He did like log in one last time before his account got like from what we have like an online community. He did leave one more
Yeah.
comment like explaining the situation, like, hey, sorry, but a teacher, my mom wanted me to leave and blah blah blah, and thank you so much and all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, so I don't fault him too much because I think a lot of times this has to do with the parents more so than the
Oh
kids.
yeah, obviously. I mean, you're just a kid at that point.
Yeah,
But
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
you just recently your last job. You gave them a 2 weeks notice, and they put you through the ringer for that, dude.
I actually gave them more than a 2 weeks notice because
I thought so because it was dragging on.
I'm good friends with the boss.
Okay.
So I just kind of out of professional courtesy, I was just I let her know in advance, like,
I
hey,
know.
I'm in final interviews for this job, like it's pretty serious. I intend to take it, blah 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 blah.
That's what I told my
and it was all-
girlfriend. I was like, yeah, this is
Yes, exactly.
it's pretty serious.
I imagine that went really well. But no, like it, and that was fine. That wasn't a problem at all.
Mhm.
The issue happened whenever there was situations that I wasn't entirely didn't really have an understanding of because they were district manager level, and that was that they were forcing the assistant store manager out of the business because the district manager wanted me in that job essentially.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And like my boss, like bless her heart, she's like not that capable of like handling like multiple things at once and
Okay.
like dealing with all the things.
Mhm.
she's highly neurodivergent, such as we all are. But she's like, I think that like yeah, so like she didn't really think about all the implications of all the things, and so like they ousted the assistant store manager, just like yeet, get out of town, and so she just like straight up walked out in the middle of shift.
Whoa.
And then that was what made it difficult, was because from that point on the schedules all changed, the implications changed, and it made it a lot more difficult because part of the issue with someone walking out in the middle of shift is that in and of itself causes like a run on staff, right? Of like people like, oh wait, why did she just walk out in the middle of shift?
Yeah.
Which I mean, fair enough. Like it's a bad place to work. Like that's what you need to know. But at the same time, like I don't want to be that guy of like I didn't want to like immediately announce after that of like, hey, by the way, I'm also leaving too. Because mine was premeditated. It was in advance. It was something that was already, I was already in communication about. But it made it look like everyone was jumping ship. So, which makes it harder for, new staff to come on and to make that transition a little less painful for people.
And footnote, that's also like why academies do it as well, because they don't want other people, they don't want the kids to leave because like their favorite teacher left or stuff like that. They want to make sure that it kind of stays low key and no one knows until it's already done, so they can kind of gloss over it. But go ahead, AJ, keep going.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a side note of that, Ben, is like that's the same ideology that's like everybody uses that ideology about like, everything, right? Like parents, like, oh, I'm not going to teach my kids what happens when they go through puberty because it'll just happen and then they'll just figure it out and we'll just gloss over it. It won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's some foundational trauma right there. Or like not teaching kids about safe sex or whatever, and it's like, oh no. They'll just figure it out later. And it's like, okay, yeah, when they're pregnant at 14,
together.
This one goes on your finger.
What was that story about the guy finishing in someone's mouth and thinking she could get pregnant? Oh gosh, that was fucking insane.
That actually did happen though. There is.
You told a story. I think you told us the story like on IG. I think is what you. I think you told us it.
Did I tell you the story?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a little violent for IG, but okay.
Was it really? Someone told us on the stream. It was definitely on a stream we did. I just don't remember who it was.
Well, because the way that she ended up getting impregnated was because she was in an abusive relationship and she got stabbed shortly after, and there was a rupture from the knife wound that caused the sperm to move over to where it was supposed to be, and that was how.
What are the odds? Are you joking?
Yeah, very few odds, and like there's literally like only 1 or 2 recorded cases that happened. But
oh my gosh.
That aside, no, I think like trying to like just gloss over like the big details of big traumatic or big situations is difficult, especially because like for someone like myself, even if the job is very insignificant, I feel like I still form like pretty decent connections with the people I work with.
Yeah.
And there's like an impact there that exists outside of kind of the bounds of of the corporate structure that we were operating within. Like we have our own personal connection with inside of that to a certain degree. Obviously, it's not true for all.
I think also we just have like our own code of conduct and ethics. I think that we kind of feel responsible to live up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And initially, like that was like when I felt like I had more, I don't know, I guess financial lenience or time lenience. I really like had a plan for how I was going to exit the business and like that, like, I had my own kind of thing set up. But, when better opportunities come, like you can't
hesitate. You have to go for it.
Yeah, you can't hesitate because it was a lack of opportunity that put me in this position in the first place. So like if there's a new opportunity, it's like, yeah, sorry. I'm only here because this was the only opportunity I had. So now that I have another opportunity, like I can't say no to that because that's the position I've been in the last 3 to 4 years. So, but yeah, no. First day was yesterday, and it was actually hilarious. It was a hilarious first day.
Okay.
Because I guess the AC was broken, so I walked in. I got up early. I did all my prep stuff, had my whole morning routine, all the things, packed my lunch, got my bag, got all dressed, and I go and I drive up to work. It's a little bit of a drive. It's like 45 minutes. But no, I walk in and I'm like, oh, it feels a little warmer than it did last time I came because it was still early. I didn't realize the AC was completely broke.
Oh my
And so I walk in and the office is all like dark. And so I like go over to like I find a fridge. I've never been here before, but I find a fridge and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll put my stuff in here. And then there's this random lady like in a darkened office. She has like a little tiny like lamp on her desk. But other than that, it's all dark. And she's like, Ethan? And I'm like, hi, that's me. And she's like, awesome, you know. Oh, she introduces herself. She's like, sorry for the lights. She's like, I'm trying to keep it as cool as possible because the AC is broken today.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I'm like, yeah. I mean, it was creepy, but that makes sense. And she's like, cool, so let me show you your office. And I'm like, okay, awesome. So she walks me over. She's like, here's the key to your office. And I was like, thank you. And she's like, all right, I guess have fun. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Okay.
It's like not even 9 o'clock yet. Like I'm not even scheduled to be 9. You know, I'm supposed to be there at 9, but I got there before, of course.
Yeah.
And so I unlock the office and like I do some rearranging and I do like basically everything I can. I go to all like the surrounding offices that are all like deserted and empty,
Scope
and I
the
steal all
area.
the supplies that I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got like a printer and I got my computer set up and like all the things, right? And I stole a chair so I can have visitors. And I'm like, oh man, all right. And I look at the clock and it's like 9:05.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh.
And then she comes in and she's like, hey, so the AC is busted. I guess like we're gonna be heading home soon. And so I was like, all right, cool. Just
Nice.
locked up. Locked up. And she was like, happy first day. And I was like, happy first day.
Dude.
It was hilarious. It was just funny because the job that I just left, our AC has been busted for about 2 months now.
Oh my
And, like,
gosh, dude.
It's
What?
been basically just a figure it out situation for us of just here's a great example. So we have cardboard, not paper, cardboard marketing that we had to like set. It would be about this size or bigger or whatever, sometimes smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So the smaller stuff is obviously very rigid because it's cardboard. It's not paper. Like it's thick cardboard. It's very rigid, and we would like put it in like a little stand, and like it tells the customer the price or whatever, right? Our store was so humid that if you set the paper in, like it would come in the box, we'd pull it out, we'd set it, and then in like 10 minutes, the cardboard would be like
Oh my gosh. Folding over.
drooped. Yeah,
Bruh.
like this, like peeled apart and drooped
Bruh.
because of all the humidity in the store, right? And like that's how bad it was, but it was just like, yeah, figure it out. And then they sent us these temp AC units at one point,
Mhm.
and we were like, oh my gosh, thank God. And we plug them in, and we're just all standing in front of the temp AC unit. And then like they literally called the day that they sent them, and they were just like, hey, so you've had those for quite a while. When are you gonna send them back? And we were like, yeah, not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
I don't think so.
Don't
But-
wait for it.
Yeah,
Don't wait for
but
it.
they still sent out people to pick them up, and like
Wow.
it was hilarious because we talked to the guy who delivered them. Like
Yeah.
I talked to the guy who delivered them because I had to accept the shipment of them, and he gave me the contract and had me look it over and all the things, which is not something that we're required to do. It's not something we're supposed to do. It's all handled by corporate, but he didn't know that, and so he just showed me the contract. It was like they only paid like they got like 4 or 5 units,
gosh,
like massive
dude.
monster units
Yeah.
for like $4,000 for like a month and a half or something like that.
Okay.
So like I know the math, I know the business behind it, right?
Yes.
But like later on, like as like a tactic of like you need to get rid of these units, our district manager was like, those units are costing the company like $4,000 a day, and I was like,
Actually, no.
I was like, actually, no, they're really not. But I mean, that's fine.
The math is not mathing. It's 1 month.
Yeah,
actually.
no, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, district managers spew a lot of stuff. Like, she could have been misinformed, or maybe she just, you know, it was, you know, a dirty fear tactic or whatever. But it was just hilarious because it's like,
The
no,
lie. It's like
they're
I
not.
know they're lying.
It's not. But okay, I mean that's fine.
Oh man.
And then like, you know, to come to this new place, it's like first day, and they're like, yeah, the AC shut off, so we're gonna be heading out. And I was just like, okay,
That's nice.
fine. That's
Oh
nice.
man, dude. Wild stuff. There's
It is wild.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. Yeah, on the same topic, there's been a big story that broke recently. So do you remember, I'm sure EJ remembers from like the early days of YouTube, Smosh. I've obviously mentioned them a lot lately because I got into the channel like maybe a year or two ago. So like Smosh, the YouTube channel, they were one of like the first YouTube channels that like really blew up and got popular and got big and everything, right?
Right.
Everyone, like, come on, like anyone who was around that time, like we always saw these two guys' faces on like every thumbnail across YouTube. Ian and Anthony,
Hmm.
the two guys who best friends who founded the company and everything. So
Hmm.
back in I think 20 was it when was it? It was like the early 2010s. They sold Smosh to this other company called DeFi
Hmm.
Media. And DeFi Media was so they owned Smosh and also do you remember Clever TV, EJ?
Hmm.
Yeah, they also own Clever TV, I guess, as well. But they were a
Oh, okay.
really shitty
Great.
company, and they just kind of like really were awful company. And so at some point, Anthony just left because he couldn't take it anymore. So like he just
Okay.
left the company, and so it just been Ian for the past Ian been running everything for the past 6 years. It's been 6 years now. So just Ian was left behind. Ian was just like still running the operation with his own staff, and eventually DeFi got shut down, and they went out of business. They went bankrupt, and so Rhett and Link, the other YouTubers, Rhett and Link, they purchased the company so they could keep operating basically. And then huge news like this past just like a few days ago, Anthony and Ian bought the brand back. They bought back their channel.
Really?
Yeah, and everyone can't believe it because like Anthony has been gone for 6 years doing his own thing and making his own channel, and then out of nowhere they kept it a complete secret. Anthony was able to get together with Ian. They reconnected, they rekindled their friendship, and they over the past like year, and then they woked it out and they bought back their
so
channel.
crazy.
It's pretty crazy, right? Like obviously not everyone knows. Like yeah, it's insane, dude. It's been a huge thing. Like Where's Anthony has been a huge joke for the past 6 years for the community. Like Where's Anthony? Because he just like left and it like never come back. But yeah, they own the company again. But the reason I was telling that is because whenever the company DeFi that bought them back in early 2010s, whenever they went bankrupt, they had told Ian in an email, they're like, there's some problems like with the banking, but we're gonna figure it out. Don't worry. And then, like a few days later, the whole company, all the staff, the actors, and everyone gets an email that says, effective immediately, DeFi Media has shut down, and no one has a job. We're completely defunct right this minute. The minute you get this email, we're done.
That's awesome.
It's over with. And Ian said like when that happened, like everyone was kind of sick of the company anyway. He said we just threw a rager at the office. Someone went out and got some alcohol, and we just like tore the place up.
That's great. That's great. I like that.
Isn't that wild?
That's a good way to go out.
It was like quite a way to go out. It was also weird because they were like, "What happens next?" They're like, "That's dead," but like Smosh is still alive, right? And yeah, Ian was like, he said, I didn't know what was gonna happen." He said, "But I knew Smosh wasn't done." It was just a weird time. But yeah, they threw a rager at the office. It's like, wow, epic.
There was again, it was a fictitious representation
Okay.
from BoJack Horseman,
Oh.
but there's it's always interesting because it's partly based on like real events of like that impact the show's writers and stuff like that.
Sure.
But in BoJack Horseman, there's this little teen bop like company that this little girl starts, and like it's just like really like excuse me, like cheesy like content for like little girls and stuff like
Okay.
oh, what Disney princess what
Slime,
or
Disney
whatever,
princess.
like how should I do my stuff? Yeah.
Legos. Okay.
And then like throughout the seasons, like it evolves, it becomes like a teenage girl outlet, and then it becomes like a real woman outlet, and it becomes like a source of like feminism in literature and things like that. And like they just develop over the years, and then finally they're going on like they're doing like a deep dive series into like female owned brands across the US. It's like where the brand has evolved to, and they're doing like this kind of like really deep mini docu-series.
Just to make sure like the company has like different outlets basically, right? So it's like one company, they have different like outlets that they
No, it was the same company, it just evolved over time.
Okay, so
Yeah,
change
yeah,
the
yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Got
It was the same girl that owned it the whole time,
Okay,
right?
it's just kind of
And
she
so-
grew, she also changed her audience base. Got it.
Yeah, so they're doing all this stuff and going across, and then I love whenever Val's working and then she's like, sorry, I have to work. It's just like I strive to be at that place one day.
What, she just like what clock like just disappear and focus or what?
No, because she's like, sorry, I'll jump back on in a moment. Someone showed up.
Oh yeah.
It's like the someone showing up at her work is like, that's like the oddity.
Yeah.
Like her being on the call in the middle of a workday is not the oddity.
normal.
Someone showing up to bother her, that's the oddity. It's like, oh my
This
gosh.
is what happens, dude. Whenever you have
No
a job you
way.
don't really care about, like you're just kind of like.
Excuse me. No, it's pretty great though. So, what was it? Then, but then in the last season, they like the whole show. They make jokes. Like the joke starts out like in the beginning of the show. They make a excuse me, they make a reference to like Pepsi, Viacom, Comcast,
Got it.
and like throughout the seasons, they add more names to the end of the conglomerate, the corporate conglomerate,
Okay.
because it's like the same company bought out all those people,
Okay.
and so they just like merge together, right? So it's like Disney, Comcast, Netflix, like, and then it's like all the companies are one company, and so like throughout the seasons, the company name gets longer. And so it's like in the beginning, it's just like Comcast, Disney, Netflix. But then like by the last one, it's like 15 different brand names that they viewed together. And it's like actually real brand names, you know, like Whole Foods and stuff that are owned by actual monster conglomerates in real life, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out all those companies were always owned by someone called White Whale. And White Whale owns like 98% of like all corporations in the BoJack Horseman world.
I see.
And so White Whale eats up the little girl companies because it doesn't like the exposure that it's getting about female brands across the US.
Oh my god.
And so White Whale eats it up and they turn it into something, and it's a spoof of Schmoss.
Oh my god.
Right, like the name of it is like Smoosh or something. It's like Smoosh Media. And so, but the funny thing about it was that like after White Whale buys it, the brand falls apart because there's no clear direction. Like nobody knows what's happening.
Oh my god.
And so there's like a period of time, and they don't really. It's not a main part of the show. It's just like something they just give you like sneak peeks. Yeah, it's like one of the subplots, but they don't show anything. And so one of the writers is like, "Hey, I mean, nobody really knows what's going on over at the Smoosh office." He's like, "Why don't we still have our logins? How about we just upload one last, inquisitive look into White Whale before we get shut down?"
Cool.
And so like they make like an inquisitive look into the White Whale Industries, and then they upload the video onto the servers, and they have a meeting with Mr. White Whale.
Okay.
And he's like, "Do you really think you could do anything to me?" He's like, "I could literally kill you right now." And they're like, "Yeah, but that's illegal." He's like, "Actually, it's not." And then he like passed a bill.
Oh my
like he paid to pass a bill that said billionaires can kill. Billionaires can just commit murder.
Okay.
And so they're like, "Oh gosh, you can actually kill us." And they're like, "Yeah, take down the video, man. It's not that important to us." And they leave. And like Smoosh crumbles.
Oh man, dude. Oh man,
Yeah.
oh man, that's so funny.
But it's. I wonder if that was an actual nod to the Smosh YouTube channel or not.
Seems kind of like
hilarious.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there was a
it's
lot of
funny
like
'cause there's a
cultural
lot of-
references throughout the show like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it does kind of sound like it lines up because basically what happened after. So the reason they sold the company was because they wanted to be able to focus on writing sketches and creating them, and they didn't like doing all the business stuff. So they thought if they sold the company, they could have someone else take care of the business side of it, and they could focus on the creative part of it. But once DeFi took over, like they just didn't. They were irresponsible and very scuzzy as well. Like they sold the company for like stock that went to nothing because the company went bankrupt. So they basically didn't even get any money for the sale. So yeah, obviously a poor decision, but also they were like one of the first YouTubers to do this kind of thing. So it was like they didn't have anyone to kind of look out for them or like give them a heads up. Poor business choices, stuff you learn. But yeah, and one of the things that DeFi did, like, which is like lines up with what you said, is that they took the brand like in several different directions. So they gave them like comic books and movies, and animated TV show, and all this kind of stuff, magazines, and it was like, and Ian and Anthony were like, it was like they were like a kind of. They said, in a good side, they were like, it was nice to have those experiences, but in a bad side, it was really dumb because they were irrelevant. Like, why do we need to do all that stuff? We didn't need to do all that stuff. We were just like burning ourselves out with making all this irrelevant content. So it sounds like the same thing as like what they said, where it's like doing this now, doing this over here, now changing this. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was either Rhett or Link is retiring. I thought one of them.
I don't think so. I've heard that. They got married. One of them got married like within the past year. Was that rumors?
Oh, okay. I don't know. You can never tell what's deep fake or not.
That's a true concern. Val sent me a video that related to what we had talked about on the stream before, you and me. Do I have how can I get the link? And look up the...
Rhett is retiring May 8th, 2023. Sad day for GMM fans. Rhett leaves Good Mythical Morning. Yeah, I'm officially retiring from Good Mythical Morning. You can catch me at your local Dave & Buster's. Yes.
Is that a prank? What the heck? For real? Oh, that's insane, dude.
Why does it...
May 8th. Is this a joke?
I am officially retiring from Good Mythical Morning, and you can catch me at your local Dave & Buster's.
Sounds like a joke.
I'm happy for you, dude. I really think this could be a better utilization of your skills.
It's got to be a prank of some kind. I can't see how that would be real.
That's so strange. Hang on a second. I'm gonna look up local Dave and Buster's. I must just not.
Dave
be
and
getting
Buster's is
into
it's a California store. I don't know, but they always reference it like in Smosh videos as well. Do you know what Dave and Buster's is? Dave and Buster's, Val?
Yeah, it's like a arcade and stuff.
Oh, really?
You know,
Oh, okay.
like a
I actually have a
game.
I actually have a Dave and Buster's near me.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked it up on the map.
You know, it's like it has like pool, like it'll have pool tables and a sports bar, and then all the like
Okay. Arcade,
different kinds
VR,
of
billiards.
arcade games. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay.
a
Okay.
place
So he
to have
really
your
did
birthday.
say it, but it must have been a joke.
It was a joke. Definitely a joke. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking through his Twitter and doesn't have anything about it here, so.
Okay. No, that's why I said it must have been a deepfake because I knew it was. I watched the video of him saying it. I just couldn't figure out.
Or it could have been a prank for like TikTok or something. Yeah, I don't know. How funny. How funny. It's this so much.
I mean, like, I don't look at any of their content, so like when it comes across my feed, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. I remember.
you
from
recognize
back
it,
in
but
the
like,
day.
don't
It was
really
like-
watch it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess he must be retiring. Fine, that's a
Even-
good move for him.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, even for Smosh, like I never liked their old content. Like it didn't really appeal to me. But I got into like their gaming channels and stuff, like board game channels, like 1 or 2 years ago, and yeah, I've been watching their content over the last 2 years. It's a lot of fun. Okay, let me find the post that. Okay, here we go. So Val sent me this post on Insta that kind of related to what we were talking about last time about gene editing and stuff like that. Here we go.
Man, that conversation was so deep last time.
Oh, I said.
Oh yeah, I love this guy.
Okay, is this it right here?
This guy's awesome.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
When it will be more and more likely that economic differences will get translated into real biological differences, which previously in history was true to some extent, like the rich had better food, so they grew taller then, and they had other advantages, but basically they were still the same human beings. But the danger one of the dangers we are facing now with the new technology is that if we don't make sure that everybody benefits, then we might see the greatest inequality ever emerging because of these new technologies. This is certainly a very, very big danger. We are.
He's referring to stuff like Neuralink, is that right? Or what is he referring to specifically? Do you know, Val?
I guess anyway, like AI, genetic modifications, Neuralink.
So this guy is.
I'm guessing all those things are blurring.
Yeah. He's a brilliant dude. He's done his fair bit of research. My only issue with his talks is that, and there's a word for it, but I don't know what it is. He's that's what it is, fearmonger. He's a fearmonger, essentially. Okay. He doesn't have a positive perspective on his outlook for humanity, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so a lot of his talks, like if you spend too long listening to them, they're very depressive because he doesn't believe that there will be a good result. Like he's a fearmonger essentially. Like he's afraid of AI.
Or more like a nihilist, right? I guess more of a nihilist rather than
Yeah, I don't know that I don't know because that kind of has other implications. Yeah. Hang on a second.
I think his background is more the truth of what we've done and come from.
Okay, I see. Like looking at history.
So I think, it's always like we have, two options, go the right course or the bad course, and we tend to often go the bad course, Because I have heard him say, like, I have heard him say in the past, it's about the choices we choose to make, and we're always listening. It's like we're always listening to the wrong voices.
Yes. No, absolutely. I just watched his AI and Humanity, I think it was.
Yeah, he is a little pessimistic about AI, but a lot of people have gone super pessimistic on AI.
AI and the Future of Humanity is what the talk was called at the Frontiers Forum. It was really insightful, but it was also just like I don't want to say overwhelmingly negative, because I get that, like, obviously AI is I don't know what the proper word to use is, but obviously there's a lot of really serious implications to AI that aren't being addressed at all. Like, there's no conversations happening about them. But I what I dislike is whenever in public speech, when somebody sets like a hard line of like this is what's going to happen, or this is the only way that this will play out. Because obviously, like, we can be sure, even if you're sure within a 99.99% degree of statistical accuracy, you're never at 100%. There's never an 100% statistical accuracy of this thing happening. Again, like 99.99%, like if it's that close to being accurate, then like who cares about that last little bit? But at the same time, like, it's just, I don't know. It's like I said, it's almost like it's fear mongering, because a lot of the times whenever you are making a speech like, you know, like he gave at the Frontier, and you say things like, this is the way the future will play out, there is no more hope, AI has defeated us already, we're too late. It's like, so who's going to hear that? Because realistically, scientists who are working with AI, developers who are developing AI, companies who have an interest in AI, like, you're not bitching any of them. None of them are sitting down and listening to your 40-minute speech and saying, this is going to change the way that we develop our business over the next 10 years. Who's going to listen to that are just random people on YouTube and be like, it's going to drive a fear mentality around new technology, which will make it harder to adopt, which will ultimately negatively impact like their immediate situation and circumstances, because they're afraid of using AI tools such as ChatGPT on their phones or Siri to help them, you know, make better choices, or, you know, whether it's like not adopting it in their workplace, and so they're like, they get ousted out of a job or whatever it is. Kind of the same way that, you know, happens with vaccinations and things like that. I just feel like that kind of fear mongering is more ultimately like harmful in the immediate than it is helpful in the long term. Because it's like,
yeah, but I mean,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, I agree, but like, I mean, he wasn't the only one fear mongering. I mean, you had all these tech dudes doing the same thing,
Yeah.
you know, like, I mean, and I wonder if they're just doing it. Sometimes I do wonder if they're doing it for news cycles and to remain relevant
Yeah.
somehow, you know, and to focus the attention. I mean, some of the people say that they're doing it to focus the attention elsewhere so that they don't have to solve the solvable problems that they can right now.
Yes. There was, I almost sent it to you actually, Ben. It was Impact Theory on AI as well that I sat through this week. And it was actually really difficult to get through, because the beginning of it was a lot of, like the first hour of it, it was Mo Gadot is who was on.
Okay.
He's a really easy voice to listen to, so it wasn't like physically difficult to get through. It was actually really enjoyable because his voice is so buttery smooth. But no, it was difficult because like the first hour of it really felt like doomsday speak, just like fear mongering and like doomsday speak, and nothing beneficial coming of it.
Okay.
But you got to trust Tom as an interviewer that he's going to bring
the opposite side.
Yeah, he's gonna bring out like the best in everyone. And so yeah, they work around some solutions, and they have like a really healthy conversation that kind of gives a really great basis for how to think about the AI that is already here, and also the AI that's potentially coming.
Okay.
So I think like things like
Probably
that
that video there. But it's talking about extinction.
It's funny though, because it says right here, artificial intelligence expert and ex-chief business officer at Google X.
Oh yeah, he worked on what is it called, Brad or whatever Google's AI is called, Brad, Billy,
Bard,
I can't remember.
Bard, right?
Bard, there you go.
Bard.
Yeah, Bard. Yeah. Also, it's really hard in public speaking forums because you can spew statistics and things without an immediate fact check.
Yeah.
And it's always like,
Yo, no lie. That's why I love doing the streams here on YouTube now, because I can fact check stuff. And so last time when I was with Pac, were you there, Val? Pac was saying stuff. He's like, "Bam, fact check me," and I was like, I looked it up. I was like, okay, that one's fake. That one's real. That's the song reference. And I was able to like check everything immediately.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
Well, in the first like 20 minutes of the Mo Gadao interview, he said something, and like the top comment on the video was a fact check of it, of how more he said that, and he didn't say it explicitly, he just alluded to the fact. He was like, if you look at the amount of money that's invested in AI for fighting biological disease, like in the pharmaceutical industry, versus the amount of money that's spent on AI developing technological weapons for the government, he was like, the story tells itself. And he was alluding to the fact that way more AI is spent on killing people than it is on healing people. But like the top comment was like a fact check that it was like something like 12 or 24 billion dollars goes to the pharmaceutical, and only like less than $7 billion goes to AI and weapons development. And everyone was like, well, you don't really know what the government's truly spending on it, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but he also realistically has no way of knowing.
Good pharmaceutical or bad pharmaceutical?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And also,
so, I mean, like,
that government numbers, because I mean, you have to take into account like private investments as well. So it's
yeah, exactly.
so hard to fact check. There's so many variables to it all.
Well, it is, but also like, he doesn't really necessarily have any additional insight to give a basis to him saying the story tells itself. It's like, well, really, does the story really tell itself?
And who cares as well, right, Jay? Because the people who want to believe him are going to believe him, and the people who don't want to are not going to believe him. So it's like,
oh, and that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he says later on in the interview. He was like, Tom, he's like, imagine I told you that brunettes are 50% more likely to fail at business than blondes. Yeah. And Tom's like, okay. So what? And he's like, it doesn't matter if it's real or it's fake. It only matters, he's like, because no matter what way that fact goes, he says, I've already influenced you. I've either influenced you into not believing anything that I say because I say fake things.
I'm going to fail.
Exactly. Or I've influenced you into thinking that you're going to fail because you're a blonde. I've influenced you into thinking that you're going to succeed because you're a brunette. I've influenced you into looking up and fact checking me. I've influenced you into debating me and writing a response. He's like, I've influenced you no matter what happens.
Yeah.
He's like, because the words coming out of my mouth have already influenced you the moment that I've said them, regardless of where those words came from or with what intent I said them.
And henceforth, the simulation.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really, what's is it first name Yuval? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah, Yuval.
Yeah, that's Yuval's whole thing, is that AI has already, hacked he calls it the operating system of humanity, and that's language communication. And that's like his whole thing, is that since AI is able to communicate so effectively, it doesn't matter if it's sentient or it's not sentient, if it has emotions or it doesn't have emotions. Those are philosophical questions that don't impact AI's immediate ability to manipulate us both emotionally and physically because of the emotional connection that we have to it through words and things like that. Which, again, like, I agree with that, to the extent that, like, it doesn't even matter if it's an AI doing it or not. Like, we as humans, we emotionally torment and abuse each other and manipulate other humans into doing things that we want them to that are less than ethically desirable, and obviously fall under, very gray moral area. So like AI doing it is like, the question is, what is the intent with which AI is doing it, right? Because like, if AI, if at some point in the future there's a sentient AI that has its own kind of regime or its own kind of like thing that it's working towards, and it's like, that's why it's with that purpose in mind that it begins to emotionally, manipulate or abuse people. It's like, that's one thing. But right now, like Snapchat, for example, is just emotionally manipulating kids into, spending more time on Snapchat, which ultimately benefits their ad platform. So it's like, we don't even need AI to be sentient to be a danger to humanity, because it just makes already bad people more powerful. Like, it's the same as, I think in that regard, it's the same as gunpowder or biological disease and weapons, or, the first guy who figured out that he could club someone to death. It's like, oh, cool. I'm the most powerful guy now.
Yeah, AI is just an extension of humanity, and it's just enhancing. It's enhancing our good and our bad.
What do you guys think about like the future? Because there was like in the Tom Bilyeu and Mo Gadao thing, they were making references to stuff that they both, like, I don't know if it was a study or a prediction or whatever, but they both were like kept making reference to it, that within X amount of years, at some point, AI will reach like an intelligence that's like a billion times smarter than the smartest human IQ, recorded human IQ, which was like, you know, Einstein or whatever, or like one of the smartest recorded human IQs of like 166 or whatever. And if the AI is going to reach an IQ that's, you know, in our way of testing it, is going to be a billion times smarter than that. And they were both like making references to that throughout the entire kind of talk for the 2.5 hours. I don't know where that came from, and I don't really know what that prediction was based off of. But like just like taking that at face value and like assuming that that is going to be true or whatever. What do you guys think about that situation? Like, what would that look like for us to be interacting with some being or some species that's a billion times smarter than us?
The thing is that only has to do with intelligence, though. Like, I mean, that's where we get tricky with the whole philosophical, you know, like what is a human? You know, is a human just their intelligence, or is a human also the ability to empathize and the emotions, and it gets tricky. It gets tricky for me.
I think it does. I think, but also like, I don't know. Like, I guess like we don't really have a great way of, you know, comparing ants.
Can we
and humans.
quantify that?
Yeah, exactly, right. Quantifying. So like, you know, like an ant is a great example of like, an ant doesn't seem very intelligent to us because we can't communicate with it. But ants communicate with other ants, and they're extremely intelligent creatures, right? So like, do ants feel insignificant to us because we're so much physically larger than them? Or do they feel insignificant to us because we're actually smarter than ants? You know? Or like a worm. Like, are we actually smarter than a worm? Or just have we had so little interactions with them that they feel small and insignificant to us because we can squish them and cover them up with dirt and be like, oh, that worm doesn't exist?
Like, I think, like, here's one of the things, right, with AI, right? One would think that it would be able to calculate all the possibilities of a scenario based on the immense amount of information it's acquired over, you know, because you're saying the future. So over that time frame, it will be able to calculate potential outcomes, I think, better than we can. And then the question becomes, to what purpose?
Exactly.
What outcomes are we talking about? Are we talking about medical innovation? Are we talking about warfare? Are we talking about, you know, space exploration? I mean, will AI still be a tool that we can
manipulate? You know, use.
I think, like you said, Jaye, before, it's really gonna be relevant how it's being used and who is in control of how it's being used. So I think the first thing that I find kind of silly about the issue with AI, the issue people have with AI is, in my personal opinion, it's a losing battle. The technology is already here, and I can't imagine any future where your resistance is going to make it disappear. Like, why would some people being angry about it just be like, okay, never mind, like, just put it back in the bag? Like, I don't see how that could happen. So the next question then is like, how are we utilizing it? How are we using it in the right way? So like you said, with Snapchat is using the tool to increase like the users on the platform and keep them engaged. Yeah, exactly. And so like, of course, humans are still going to be relevant because humans are the ones who give companies money. So of course, companies are going to want to use AI to make sure that people are still using their services. Spotify with like its AI tools, Google with AI tools, Google Home, all that kind of stuff, right? So I think it's going to be really relevant, like what companies are in control of the AI and how they're using it. That being said, there's a lot of really great stuff that could happen with in terms of like having that level of intelligence for AI. One I've heard people talk about, Dr. K from Twitch and YouTube, is he's talked about how AI could help in therapy sessions, like giving people more affordable therapy sessions, right? If we're able to advance to that level, because then people can get assistance through AI about what they should be doing and how they can take care of these problems. I guess at the heart of it, this kind of goes back to what we talked about last time, is that even with as much as technology advanced, like humans are still going to have human problems until we make advancements in those fields. And I think that it would be really nice to see AI be used to help people with our human issues in whatever way that might be. So whether it's in terms of like helping people who are disabled, helping people who have mental health struggles, helping people who need, counseling or guidance or need ideas. So it kind of goes both ways. What's that?
Bye.
Love you.
So
Love you, Ben.
love you too.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on speaker.
You're all good.
I thought I was muted. My bad.
So it's all good though. But
No,
I think
I agree with
that's
that.
what it is. Yeah.
Another thing, like I've been really, for absolutely no reason at all, I have been researching the history of precision recently, of like in like machining, for like cutting metals and cutting materials to like a micrometer and things like that, like using intricate machines to measure out really really small measurements. And the
Okay.
thing that's really interesting is that so like whenever the Industrial Revolution came around and we were getting really good at manufacturing things. Like over in France and England, they got really good at manufacturing textiles, right? And they could do like weaving processes, and they developed like automatic weaving machine that they could make fabric that in Asia, took a long time for people to weave by hand all the intricate patterns. They turned it on a drum roll and they had their ways of manufacturing that very easily in Europe.
Okay.
And so like that was like that automation felt really foreign to people because they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would automate these workers out of jobs. And that was, hundreds of years ago that we were having the same conversation about work automation, right? But the interesting thing was out of that automation was also birthed the beginning of precision because there was a limit to how accurate the machines that they were building could be. And so they had to develop sciences around like how to measure things more accurately and how to make things plumb and more square, right? So on and so forth.
Okay.
And precision in and of itself has allowed us to do things that normally we wouldn't be able to do. So like, for example, there's a machining channel that I watch, and constantly on the machining channel, this guy, he puts things on his metal lathe and he grinds them down to within a 1/10,000th of an inch, right? Which is an impossibly small measurement. Like we can't see
Sure.
1/10,000th of an inch. But using his measurement tool and, like feeding his machine to the right level, like he can cut to something that he can't even see. And he can know with a really high degree of accuracy that that is indeed what he's doing. He's cutting that
Sure.
piece of metal to that degree of accuracy. He has no way within his biology to confirm that. But using other sciences like chemistry, and the theory of squareness and things like that, he's able to confirm, yes, I did indeed cut this thing to 1/10,000th of an inch, right? Like that's how accurate it is.
Yeah.
I can't see it, but I know I did it.
Right.
And I feel like AI is kind of like that. It's the next step of precision for us.
Okay.
It's going to allow us to do things that we can't verify in our biology, but we can develop sciences to tell us that we did indeed do this thing, or we impacted this thing to this degree of accuracy, if that makes sense.
Can you give like a application of how that would be? So, any ideas?
I think medicine.
Yeah, medicine's a great example where like if we can develop a medicine that impacts one single cell inside of a tumor,
Okay.
that's going to be hugely impactful because we'll be able to see not with our own eyes, but we'll be able to look at instruments and get chemistry readouts that will tell us, yes, we impacted this one single cell inside of this cancerous growth, and it changed. And this medicine that this AI helped us develop did indeed impact it in that way, if that makes sense.
Got it. By the way, to give,
Like,
I
we
think
wouldn't
in
be able
general.
to give a quick fact check on that,
Oh, yeah, go
that
ahead.
thing they were saying earlier in impact theory, I did find a few numbers here. So the first one that is interesting that I'll read because they had is it here? Oh shit, I lost it. I might have closed out of it. Okay, I'm sorry. So it says right here, so there's roughly 86 billion neurons patched into our skulls, and then more important, there's 100 trillion connections those neurons forge among themselves. So 86 billion neurons and then 100 trillion connections. And then by contrast, the technology underlying ChatGPT features between 500 billion and a trillion connections. So it's not quite the same level of connections as a human brain, but somewhere in that same ballpark, at least half of as many as we have in the human brain. So the difference, however, of course, is that they can use all of those neurons at any given point, AI can, and also that they can maintain information more than a human can. So humans can't keep that much information in their mind. AI can, obviously. And as stuff progresses, it looks like it could possibly reach the same level of like neurons that human brains have, but just not yet. So it'd be on track to do so. Everyone's saying billions is just like they're making estimations. There's no one who has like proven it's going to be so, but they just kind of guess like when it's going to happen. There is a number here. Article says, when will AI exceed human performance? So they said researchers, doesn't say who, elite researchers predicted that it could happen within 50%. So it's a 50% chance of happening within 45 years and a 10% chance of happening within 9 years. So according to experts and researchers, they say it's going to happen, but we don't know if it's going to be 10 years or 100 years, somewhere in that ballpark, that it would reach the same amount of like brain capacity. Sorry, back to what you were saying, EJ.
Well,
Oh yeah, Val.
the thing is, like, I think there's no problem with like, I think if we look at AI as an enhancement of our existence, I mean, again, it's like that whole thing of like, it depends on the tool and how you use it.
Yep.
Like I'm just one of those people who sits on that side of this conversation about the ethics of everything.
Okay.
Like one of the biggest problems with AI is that there's a lot of ethics that's missing because we as human beings suck at ethics. And the consequences of allowing a technology to essentially go boundless, which is what's happening, without understanding the consequences of who gets lost, whether it's in poverty because of jobs being taken away, or whether we're talking racial ethics, because we know that AI, when you type in certain things in AI, it'll be essentially racially profiling. Like it'll say a terrorist is a Muslim or very Arab looking.
Yeah, if you give it the wrong information, it can spit that stuff out.
So here's another
and
really
also
interesting
being used
thing
by the
about
wrong people, like
oh,
data
no,
stewards or something. Go ahead, EJ.
Well, I was just going to say another really interesting thing about the ethics of AI that we don't even have to go into. Actually, hang on a second.
That was another thing I saw in the article.
I'm going to put myself on mute for just real quick.
Yep, take your time.
Yeah.
One of the things I saw in the articles was talking about how governments could use it in dangerous ways. He's the guy who helped with the founding of ChatGPT. He was saying how Putin could use it to create, weapons and things like that would be harmful. So,
like, tell AI to make the worst imaginable weapon.
Well, I mean, like even down to social profiling, like you said, Val. Like, I mean, imagine if Hitler says, "Okay, here's a robot dog, and like go find all the Jews and kill them." It's like whoever looks like this, kill them. Like that'd be awful, right? Like.
No, yeah, like those police dogs.
Oh
like,
yeah,
New York,
the police dogs.
Yeah, like it's like, cops already racial profile.
Ooh,
like let's just do that.
That's a good point. Shit.
So another thing that's super interesting about it is that we don't even have to go so far into the future to look at, like, we don't even have to theorize about, what if AI, somehow has it develops some form that it can interact with us on a biological level. It's like we don't even have to assume that AI has any implications beyond just the very basic computer systems, the neural networks that it has right now. The data that it's being trained on is, by its very nature, extremely biased data, because the history of humanity has been very biased by nature. So, like, if you just look over the last 200 years of America's history, like, do we really want to train AI on what America has done over the last 200 years? Because that's not a very good history, right? Like, we completely enslaved a group of people just based on the color of their skin. We took over land. We literally stole land from people that we said we were going to live peacefully with. you know, like we have consistently given lower rate wages to women and people of different ethnicities. Like you don't want AI trained on that data, and yet that's the only data that we have. So in order for there to be a truly ethical AI, we would have to develop an entirely new fake set of data that wasn't based on real human events because humans aren't that good at being
Have a
ethical.
pretty good knack for
So-
fucking things up.
Exactly. So, like, yeah, I think that's my thoughts
Yeah.
on that. You want ethical AI, you have to have ethical data. Ethical data doesn't exist. So you need to solve that problem before you try to talk about ethical AI.
I mean, you know what that
Because
you know what that kind of gets the heart of it. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, nothing's going to be ethical that's trained on implicitly unethical data. Like, it's just, you know, that's just the fact of the matter.
Mm. I was gonna say, you know what that kind of gets the heart of is kind of the issue with the speed of technological advancement and the speed of like spiritual or mental or physical well-being development, right? Like technology develops way faster than humans are at like taking care of themselves. It feels like, you know, because like so many things, like so many issues that happen are because of internal issues, right? Like we do things because we have issues inside of it, insecurities or trauma or like, whatever it might be, right? Mental health disorders. And it's kind of scary, right? Because like technology is developing so quickly and then humans development is like not going as quickly, it feels like. And so we're giving like dangerous people dangerous tools and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like it's weird. It's weird to think about that, but like if you're able to like get yourself in a utopia where everyone has become like a bodhisattva, right? And like we've all like, developed a great sense of self and acceptance and everything.
Right, we're considerate of every living creature
Exactly.
on
We're
the
compassionate.
planet.
We're loving. It would be so great to have AI in that world because then we could just use it to, you know, enhance stuff a little bit better and make stuff more efficient. But as it stands, it's more like, well, I can't find inner peace, so how much money can I make? How many lives can I ruin?
But the question then becomes, is that even a possibility? Like, if we would, could we? I just feel like humanity couldn't all transcend. There would always be a certain
Outliers.
subset of humans
Yeah.
who are like, I want power,
Mhm.
I want whatever. I think that's the realization we all have to come to. Like, there's always going to be a group of people
Bingo.
that are going to do that.
Correct, Val. And I think
And
that's
how do we live with that?
how do we live with it, right? Because I think that's kind of like it's like the yin yang of life is that there's always going to be the good and the bad, and so really I feel like whenever we have new technology like this, it's not so much about, like I said, beating it down or ignoring it. It's more of like, okay, let's act first. How do we make sure this stuff is safe? How do we make sure it's, you know, regulated? How do we make sure it's being utilized in the best way for the most people? And then that hopefully that can counterbalance everyone that's like using it in negative ways, you know, at the same time.
Like, I mean, one of the reasons I think that we are where we are is that it's been because of competition.
Yeah.
Like even the tech people say, oh, they'll always throw out, but China, if we don't do it first, China.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so it's just like let's produce it and think about the consequences later.
Mm. Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? I think I don't know. I always think about it from the human side. EJ knows this. I'm always thinking about from the human side about stuff of like how many struggles that we face as humans and how much it kind of makes life more difficult than it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Not really sure how to verbalize that thought. Just I guess like what's on my mind, and it's kind of like it's incoherent right now is the fact that life would be a lot more peaceful and fulfilling if we were able to understand how to navigate life on our own and how to take care of ourselves in the right way, and not
Like as an individual.
as an individual, Val. Yeah. And that we wouldn't have to be thrown into, you know, despair over these news stories, or be lost in a spiral of depression, you know, over fear or anxiety about what's going on. That we wouldn't have so much self-doubt if we could just like use every tool we have to make our lives a fulfilling life to live. Use the tools we have to, you know, do what we want to do, basically, you know. Like, here's a quick example. Like, in right now, talking about AI specifically to keep it, you know, relevant. In like the EDM scene, which I'm obviously very close and connected to, right? There's this huge like war thing going on right now, because a lot of labels and artists are starting to use AI art for the album covers. But since the EDM underground EDM scene is so like grassroots and like interconnected, every time that happens, people are jumping on it, being like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that! You should have paid an artist to make the art for you. You're saving on money, and you're making people lose jobs, and it's so unethical of you to be using AI for the artwork whenever you could have paid a different person to do it for you. They're stealing art." And like, while there may be, you know, some truth to that, and it's good to have discussions and talk about how to advance forward, it's also like having a negative effect, because there's one artist who like it was like, "Guys, how would you feel if I use AI for my artwork? Because like I'm barely paying bills right now, and I want to put out a new song, but like I legitimately don't have the money for an artist. I have to use that money to eat. Like, can I use AI for my artwork? Like, how would you guys feel about that?" And everyone's like overwhelming, like, "No, don't do it, dude. Just don't do it." And it's like, I was like, do it, man. Like, you're trying to survive out here. You want to put out music. Like, to me, it's like, do it.
Yeah, it's tricky because again, it's like because it's the world that we live in. I mean, unfortunately, ideally, because we can't, we're humans. We are social creatures. We do need each other, and technically, we do need each other for survival, in theory. But because of the systems that we're under, yeah, I mean, I get that the artist is like, I'd love to pay an artist, but I can't afford to pay an artist. So it's like it's this gray zone of like can there be permission that during that time of transition that you can use these tools?
Yep.
But then hopefully when you're in a place, like I struggle with that too. Like, for example, my mom was like, apparently my aunt told my mom that I should look into investing into property.
Sure.
Especially sort of like short, like rentals, like vacation rentals or whatever. And for me, I just find it personally so unethical because there's just people who can't find homes because there's people being investors with property. People are purchasing properties for investment to make money for themselves, as opposed to leaving property on the market so people can find affordable housing. So there's an ethical question for me there too, but then it's like, but yeah, where's that line of like, I deserve to survive as well? And you know, money's not a bad thing.
Right. And you're not, and like,
you know, I'm not trying.
Your intention isn't to steal someone's home. Your intention is to give someone a place to rent and stay at, you know, during their vacation or whatever it might be. So.
Yeah, but it's still because it's part of the problem.
Yeah, you're gonna question your.
It's like I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess to stuff like that, Val, again, like I guess that's what my point is that I feel like if we're grounded enough in ourselves and our choices, we can come to a conclusion on that. Whether to do it or to not do it is irrelevant, but like making your choice. So like if I was that EDM artist, I would be like, "Hey guys, I know you're gonna hate this, but I have to do it, and here's my reasons why, and like accept it or don't accept it, I have to do it, and I'm gonna do it, right?" And it sucks because he decided at the end, he was like, "Okay, I guess I'm not gonna do it because everyone hates it," and it's like. Meanwhile, there's another really mainstream artist named Don Diablo, and like every post he's done like for the past several months has been AI generated. For the most, it's been majority of AI generated artwork and visuals and stuff like that. And no one bats an eye because he's like super famous, world globally respected. So because he's famous, he can do it. But these other underground artists are like having to deal with backlash for it. So it's like it's messed up, the inequality, you know. But if we just did,
Yeah, I
if
feel
we had been more groundedness in ourselves, we wouldn't care so much about the judgment or the fear. We just do what's right for us, and and make corrections as needed, as necessary.
yeah.
What were you gonna say, Val? You said you think.
No, I was going to say, like, I mean, obviously, because these things are way, the cat's out of the bag kind of thing. But
Mm,
it's like, I think ideally you would have had artists early on in this AI thing. Like, it
mm,
would have been just some sort of a cooperative where everybody's inputting equally into these systems.
mm,
So
mm,
the output is sort of equal as well. If you had artists early on having a say in the whole AI thing,
mm,
contributing, like maybe wouldn't have been, and then profiting from
mm,
those contributions,
mm.
this conversation wouldn't be happening because essentially,
There'd be more harmony,
you
more
know,
collaboration.
Well,
yeah,
Yeah, EJ, go ahead.
and that's also another really interesting thing about it is that um, there's the ethical side of the conversation of, hey, you shouldn't use AI generated artwork. You should be paying a human to make that artwork. And then there's the other side of it of, well, you really shouldn't be using AI generated artwork because most of the artwork that's in AI generated systems
It's taken from
was
Mhm.
not paid for. It was scrubbed content anyways.
Yep.
So it's like, you're gonna be unethical one way about it or the other. Here's the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue is that trade in, let's just take the United States, for example, because I assume that's where that person
Yes,
was
correct.
at. If they were struggling to survive to that extent, they were probably living in the States.
Yeah.
Trade in the United States can't be supported ethically because in order to have ethical trade, you have to be operating at like a more input than you are output, right? So you already have to be net positive in order to have ethical trade in the United States. If you're trying to make it, I assume you're probably not operating at net positive. Therefore, you're also probably not going to be able to practice ethical trade because you don't have the money to do so, right? Like you can't put more money into the system than you're taking out of it. So like that's also part of the issue with here at the States because the system of trade that we've built up in terms of the trade of goods, right? Like where we have to pay for services and building businesses, so on and so forth. Um, it's not an ethical system that we've built. Therefore, in order to be net positive in the United States, you have to practice an unethical trade at some point. And by
Mhm.
unethical trade, I mean paying someone less than what they're worth, um, not obtaining all copyrights to all things at all times, publishing content on a label that is not totally inclusive, so on and so forth. Like there's a variety of, there's a myriad of issues that exist in trying to operate ethically as a business. And all of those things are compounded and kind of like extrapolated for an individual artist trying to bootstrap themselves up off the ground, which, by the way, like we've kind of proven it's impossible unless you get, eaten up by a larger label that's going to support you and take you through. Like bootstrapping doesn't actually exist. Your company just eventually just gets bought up by a larger company who already was successful based on capital that they had whenever they were in their initial funding phase. So it's like nobody actually bootstraps themselves into success. That's a fallacy that financially it doesn't make sense and it's impossible through mathematics. So like, yeah, there's a lot of boundaries to ethical behavior in those types of spaces, especially as it's related to AI and art, which is, kind of what we're talking about right now. But like,
Mhm.
if you're not comfortable in practicing any percentage of unethical behavior, then like you're not going to be able to survive as an artist, as a businessman, as
The
as
human.
As a
anybody.
human.
Yeah, as a
Yeah,
human.
right, Val.
Like you're not going to be able to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and
like
I
there's
mean,
no
yeah, you have to be
yeah, go
comfortable with a
ahead.
certain amount of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Choose
Because
your
there's no
battles.
system in which, yeah, there's no system in which we can put in 100%, take out 100%, put in 100%, take out 100. That's not how, like, we'd technically be operating on zero. Like, how does that make sense, right? Like, I can't give 100% of my proceeds to charity and helping people and also be funding the economy and also be making enough money for me to live. Like, one of those things has to give. I either have to pull money from the economy or I have to pull money from myself or I have to pull money from charity. So it's it is what it is.
So blow up the entire system and start over. I got it.
Well, we go back to the beginning, Val. It's like just move to a countryside and live from the land, plant your fruits and vegetables, dance every night, have a good community.
Let's initiate a new Big Bang. Start over.
That could be arranged.
Well, I don't know. Is that even ethical though? Like, to the extent that, you know, like not going back to the Big Bang, because that's a really fun conversation, but I feel like probably not, yeah, not exactly in the scope of what we're talking about right now. I will have that conversation with you at some point though. That's a lot of fun. How ethical was the Big Bang? No, rather the system itself. Like,
Hey
let's
guys,
say you live
Vsauce
off
here.
the land. Right. Let's say you live off the land. Let's say you own some land somewhere, which, by the way, owning land in and of itself has its roots in unethical behavior. But we'll talk that, again, it's way too deep, because you probably took that from somebody who, some native people who, quote unquote, owned it originally, or whatever. So what does owning land mean, right? Owning land itself is unethical. But if you ignore that, let's say you ignore that, and you're living somewhere somehow ethically, and you're, killing animals and raising stuff, like if you're killing animals for your food, like, is that ethical behavior? Because you're not giving that much back to the earth, right? Like, let's say some deer is eating and pooping out and giving all these nutrients, like recycling nutrients back into the earth and dropping those around, spreading seed growth, right? The deer has a very ethical existence because it's putting back as much as it eats. But as a human, are you really putting back as much as you eat? Like, if you kill a deer and eat a deer, realistically, that's gonna help you survive for maybe a week, 2 weeks if like for a medium-sized deer, like if you don't have access to proper storage because storage is unethical because you can't use electricity because it's killing the planet, blah, blah, blah. You can't have a refrigerator because refrigerators are killing the environment because you're creating a lesser spot in the ozone, so on and so forth, right? The refrigerant itself. Like, if you can't store the meat, it's only going to last you for about a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're creative and you smoke it on a medium-sized deer. So, like, in that 2 weeks, are you really giving back as much of it as a deer would give back? Like, are you truly, like when you really get down to it, something has to die, something has to live. That's the cycle of life. Going from that
Basically,
and
we're
going
the
forward.
parasite.
Yes. Right. Like, yeah, like,
Are
is there any
humans
evidence to
ethical?
suggest that humans
Are
aren't
human
parasites?
is
Yes,
existing
are humans
ethical? That's a good one, Val. Oh shit, that'd be a great video. Let's call this a
Well,
whole live stream.
Val, it's the same thing
Existing
I
ethical.
always come back to, right? It's the same thing we always come back to, which is, listen, you have your religion, you have your beliefs, you have this consciousness, but you don't actually have any of that. It's just things that your brain tricks you into believing you have. And then we created words and language to communicate with each other on top of that, to elaborate on these ideas of consciousness, on these ideas of ethical behavior, on these ideas of moral right and wrong. Like, does any of that actually exist? No, it doesn't, because none of it's hard-coded into, like, human behavior or biological behavior. Like, it's eat or be eaten. The lion doesn't think about ethical behavior.
Yeah.
It'll kill as many freaking gazelles as it wants, and it's not going to poop out all those nutrients in the earth and spread those seeds. It's not actually giving back. It's just doing what it was bred to do. Humans were not bred for ethical behavior. Humans were bred to reproduce and use as many resources as possible, is honestly what I believe at this point. Make the most use of the earth. And so, like, ethical behavior is something we're trying to, like, the peanut butter on top of the toast. The human's the toast. Ethical behavior is the peanut butter that we're trying to cover up all the crusty toast bits and say, no, we can be ethical. There's this idea that we can be ethical. We can be kind to people. When in reality, this, like, I don't know of any economic system that exists that is a truly ethical system, fair to all humans and all animals and all plant and flora. Like,
Well, I
does
mean,
it exist?
I
I don't know. Let's look. But
I don't think true perfection will exist either. I think, even in tribal, it's just you don't
Yeah.
you don't kill the entire herd. You kill members of the herd as you need to eat.
Exactly. Right, which is why there's a difference between sustainability and ethicalness, right? Like,
yeah.
like renewable energy is not ethical energy. Renewable energy is just energy that we can continue to produce at a rate at which it will be reproduced by the time we're done using the initial amount of it, right? So like we get more out of this, we're taking less out of the system than we're putting into it. That's renewable energy because the system will always exist and we'll never pull out more. Once we start to pull out more, it ceases to be renewable energy and it becomes unsustainable energy because we're taking too much out of that system.
Which I guess
whether that's solar or hydro or whatever.
So taking your toast and peanut butter, humans are burnt toast, and we're just putting peanut butter on ourselves to try to taste better.
To try and taste better. Exactly.
Well, it's also, that's a nice note to kind of wrap it up on, is like being sustainable, because like if you can't be completely ethical, at least you can be sustainable. And so having the right intentions and acting on those intentions, 75% of the time, is that maybe that's good enough, right? Like doing the best you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Back as much as you can, and not judging yourself.
But you can't buy sustainable.
Buy the property, Val. Buy the fucking property. Do what's right. Take care of yourself and your family. You deserve this.
Well, like, so I'll say two more things because I know we're trying to wrap it up. First thing, as a joke, you can't buy sustainable because buying sustainable is not actually sustainable. If you look at like the options to buy sustainable here in the U.S., it's not actually sustainable companies running them. So it's that's marketing. Like a side note to that. It's marketing, 100%.
Greenwashing.
But yes, but I will say that like when we make decisions to better our life, we have to make decisions from a place of like primordial need, not conscious need. So like as a human, Val, like I don't know what you want to experience with your life, but at the end of the day, if like I don't know, like when you're 98, the system's not going to take care of you. When you're 88, the system's not going to take care of you. When you're 78, the system's not going to take care of you. When you're 68, it doesn't matter how many homes you've left on the market for other people, the healthcare system's not going to take care of your breaking body.
Yeah.
Like, so like, if it were me,
coins.
Again, not speaking ethically, speaking primordially, as a creature, I would rather survive. I would rather eat, kill, and thrive than I would die at the hands of a system that I strove to make a little bit more ethical, knowing forever that I didn't even come anywhere near succeeding. Like, I guess, like, obviously I'm not telling you what to do because I have no idea what you should do about, and I don't even know the whole situation. I'm just saying, like, don't make decisions from a place where your brain is tricking you into thinking, this is the morally right thing to do, or this is the ethical thing to do. Whenever it's really just like, it's just synapses in your brain that are firing that are saying, hey, if you do this, some part of you that's probably linked to past trauma is going to feel a little bit better and not bother you as much. Whereas a whole other millions of parts of the brain, if you do this other thing, are going to feel really good, but you should probably feel bad about those parts of your brain feeling good. Because that's really how we talk to ourselves, right? Is like, if you do this thing, the majority of your brain is going to be happy, and you should feel bad about that part of your brain feeling happy. So instead, do this thing that will make one part of your brain feel happy, when in reality, that part of your brain feeling happy is probably linked to some really bad thing that happened to you in the past that shouldn't have happened to you. But now you're trying to like, mitigate that almost a little bit. But yeah, it's just something that's been helpful for me to kind of phrase things that way. And kind of separation, kind of declaring that separation between our needs as a creature and our needs as a human of like, I have these thoughts and ideas and words that I put on them, but are they really real? Well, who's to say?
And my takeaway is survive in the system we're living in. So just survive and take those actions. Yeah.
Yeah. Survive and thrive.
But also
and,
as well, though, Val, I think that like you can trust yourself more than you can the system. So like knowing you as a person, like whatever benefit you get from whatever choices you make in your life, like you're gonna give it back twofold. Like that's just the kind of person you are, And you can trust that. You can't trust like other people, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're gonna snatch up opportunities from all of us and do something else with it,
It's just as unethical to have $100 to your name as it is to have $100 million to your name. They're equally unethical things because somewhere someone doesn't have any money at all. And so in the theory of ethics, you should be giving as much as you can realistically to help those people. So it's just as unethical for you to be rich as it is for you to be unrich. The only difference is that you can be unethically happy and comfortable rich, and you can be unethically unhappy and uncomfortable unrich. So it's like, realistically, you know, and like also you can do a lot more.
Yeah,
good,
like what are you doing with it?
It's fooling you, right? Like,
what
yeah.
are you doing with it?
And that's what I'm saying is like it's really just a philosophical question of can I be unethically happy or can I be ethically unhappy? But can I be rich or unrich in either one of those situations? Because the reality of it is it doesn't matter. It only matters what you're doing with your money that you have. So if you have $100 and you're walking down the street and you see this poor man and you're like, screw you, poor man, I hate you. Then that's a problem with you. It's not a problem with how much money you have. Like, so if you're gonna, if you do bad with a little, you're gonna do bad with a lot. But if you are already living ethically on a $60,000 a year salary, then if you were realistically making six figures, making $600,000 a year, you'd probably still be living ethically, just at scale. You'd be donating more. You'd be creating more organizations. You'd be benefiting more people in your life. Your family would have a better existence. They would eat better. Like, realistically, like, philosophy can only get us so far because philosophy has no real application. That's kind of the limit of it, right? Like, it helps us formulate thoughts and ideas and beliefs, but then we also have to have the action that doesn't come from that philosophy. It's born from it, but it doesn't come from it.
It evolves.
It evolves from it, exactly.
This was insane. I love how we just get off in the randomest tangents and then like it becomes something very deep and meaningful. This is
last time I was on here and I went on that rant about like DNA and like yeah. No, like it sent me on like a week-long bender of like I had to really think about like what I had said and like really put it like to the test and do a lot of meditation and stuff.
Interesting.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I hadn't said anything that I regretted. Like, I don't believe in regret, but I want to say anything that I wanted to make sure that I didn't say anything that I didn't stand behind.
Sure.
But no, I just wanted to add that in.
Do you think you did, or was there something that you did kind of think like back on, or not so much?
No, I don't think so. Actually,
okay.
That's what I was proud of myself. I was like, okay, good. I didn't just say random things for the sake of conversation. Like, it was rooted in like opinions that I hold.
It was a very interesting.
Maybe not necessarily belief, but opinions.
Yeah.
Because opinions change over time, right? Like the way I feel now is not going to be the way I feel in 6 months or a year.
Yep.
After AI takes over.
After AI takes over.
After we use our blood money to make investments and different things. The drug.
Oh, by the way, you guys have to think about something really interesting.
What's that?
And maybe we can touch on it next time. Is that like so once AI becomes like permeates everything and becomes like the official thing that exists in our universe.
Sure.
Will the billionaires become like the only humans in terms of like they'll create an experience for themselves, like a society that exists outside of the AI permeated society that's just like actual humans, like only real biological humans are allowed there. Like there is no AI at all. Wow. They seek those higher, like they seek just the initial human existence, like is that what billionaires pay for?
It's going to be a paid society where some people can pay enough money to get into to make them more money.
How big is the society, though? That's my question.
How much money they want to make.
Well, how many billionaires can there be in the world? That's the...
Why are we limiting to the world?
That's the question.
At that point, when we'd be moving into outer space societies, possibly?
Oh, yeah. Make a Simon tube. We'll live in a Simon tube in this space. I think is what it's called, a Simon tube.
Yeah, it's kind of like leave these people behind, leave these peasants behind. I'm gonna go to my utopia in the sky.
Peasants.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fly in my rocket to outer space.
That would be interesting. The final frontier was announced 70 years
Hopefully
ago?
that will be us someday.
Still moving towards it. Living in space?
Hopefully that'll be us someday. No, all 3 billionaires talking to each other about the stupid peasants that they had to deal with this week.
Oh my gosh, dude, yeah.
Like Benji, like we'll be having a completely different conversation. He'll be like, I was talking to this young kid who wants to produce his album, and he's like, doesn't have enough money to, even pay an artist. And at that point, I'm like, dude, why are you even doing music at this point? Like, if you don't even have money to pay for an artist,
You should join
like,
my slave
why
farm.
are you doing music?
I'll do
Yeah, like,
you
why
right.
are you doing
Join my
music?
farm. I'll pay you
He's like-
minimum wage.
Like, you need to bootstrap yourself, make some money, and then once you get to a place of affluence, then like settle down and figure out things like music.
Also, if you enter this
Like,
code, you can get 10%
I'm-
off my program. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. And Val's complaining about her tenants. She's just like, honestly, people are pigs. Like, they just have no respect for the homes that they live in.
I had to kick out this pregnant mom and her 10 children
Like
because she just wouldn't stop
$4,800
having
a month
babies.
for
So I had to kick her out. I don't want that in my house.
Yeah, like if you can't be responsible with your Yeah, and that's when I said that. I'm like, honestly, if you're not responsible with your DNA, you should be like
You should be homeless. You
should be, like,
deserve that
removed.
shit.
Your reproduction. You should be homeless. Yeah.
What?
Honestly, yeah.
We
We need to euthanize all people.
Oh my
Oh
god.
gosh.
What was the Big Bang ethical?
No, that's for next time. That's in the immediate future for us.
Yeah, the immediate future. Yeah, we gotta figure that out before we make our evolution. I'm not looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to be billionaires with you guys. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. Imagine, like, it is funny to think about though. Like, imagine if all of us stayed exactly the same. Because, like, imagine Zaye being a billionaire too, but like she still has the same like sarcastic, cynical viewpoint, only with billions of dollars in affluence.
Well, Zaye's the only one who works hard enough to keep up with a CEO's schedule. Like that, she's always like she's working around the clock. I feel like.
I think more than that, like Zaye, the kind of the persecution she has to deal with is insane there in Iran. It's just insane.
Yeah, honestly, that's Josh's machine.
Yeah, she told me a story like last week about like actually having to confront someone because they were like they like filmed her and her friend and they were threatening to go to the police and like, oh man, it was like it did not feel real. But she
They
actually
filmed her and her friend.
Yep, they were outside walking without hijabs on, and some random guy was filming them,
gosh.
and then was like came over and was like, I'm gonna report you to the
That's
police.
lovely.
And yeah, her friend freaked out. Her friend like passed out on the ground with a panic attack, and Zaye had to navigate it and everything. And oh my gosh, it was like, how is this even happening? How is this real? Thankfully, I think it turned out like
awful.
it worked out. Like I guess he didn't go to the police, but like I think he still has the footage, so he could at any point, I guess. So now she has to like live.
So,
with
question:
that
is it better to live with your freedom and be threatened by other humans, or is it better to just live with an AI overlord who's on a camera and it's like, hey, I saw you walking without your hijab on. You've just lost 15 social points. If you don't improve by next quarter, you're gonna get an NRI.
all this and more on the next live stream. That was so good to catch up with you again. Thanks for jumping on.
Like, you know what I mean?
Even though you're at work. EJ, thanks for like big braining us and making us think beyond our small brain mentality.
You mean small braining you? Small
No.
braining you.
No, we were small brains. We were thinking like, oh, how can I be ethical and politically correct? And then you jump in and be like, fuck everyone.
There is no ethics.
no ethics.
Euthanize everyone. Would you
Be a
stop saying
billionaire.
that?
Yeah, be a billionaire. Just be a billionaire. This is fun. All right, guys, I'm going to do another stream on Thursday at the same time, so you guys totally jump on if you want to. And if not, I'll see you guys next week. So, all right, bye,
All right.
Val. Take care. Bye,
Bye.
See you
EJ.
later.
Mm.
Bye, Jay.